Three, two, one. Start it off. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell down so the Ghost to 13-month series doesn't get you and you can stay notified. We got a star-studded cast today. The family heads are gathering for the third time in a long time. And I guess in Discord order, if you guys just want to say something real quick, starting with the one everyone knows, but go ahead, sir. Joe.
There we go.
Yeah, you're first.
Okay, I guess I'm first.
In Discord
Hello,
order.
everyone. Okay. Hello. Dr. Bonehead here. If I sound weird, I got a mild spring allergy thing going on, but no, I'm here. I'm excited.
Y'all got spring over there?
I say spring in quotations. It's like 30 degrees. I don't know.
All right.
We're surviving.
Go ahead, Haku.
Okay, normal intro. Heyo everybody, Haku here. And I guess we're just going to be talking for a while. If you love any of my opinions, I was serious. If you don't like them, I was just joking.
Wow.
Okay. Actually, I want to call you like kick the can unless you're cool with that or kick. Like, what do I?
Okay, you can call me whatever you want. I need to make up my own mind. So I'll just you can call me Ron.
Okay.
I changed the channel name to Ron Cans. It used to be Kick the Can. Can is the reoccurring thing, so we could just go with that.
Alright.
This is my first time doing one of these with everyone that's here all together. So thanks for having me.
Nah, you've been doing your thing, bro. I've been seeing you. I've been seeing you, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Thank you.
And lastly,
Oh man, sucks going last. But what's going on, everybody? JD the Otaku Fix. How you guys doing? I'm just here. I'm good. Been a minute.
it has been. Everyone's good though. Y'all, I know you're
I'm
under the
making
weather.
I'm making it.
All right.
Fairly
Now I'm
decent.
feeling good. It got better when I was talking to all you fine people. You know, it's.
You know,
been
I have that healing effect. You know, I have that
Yeah,
push.
right.
That
Yeah.
I've
Tend to have
heard.
that effect. Yeah.
All right.
It
Now,
will be better soon. I'm done with the screen time, and now I can finally
Let's
move on to
go.
do some other
Hey,
I know. Shout out to you for doing that, by the way. I reacted to it recently, and I'm just like, I would never do this. I'm just too much.
That
This
was
is
your takeaway.
this is too much work. I'm not doing this. Like I was saying, like I did one Tower God project. I was so excited to do in UEFA and FIFA were like no, because I'm like, oh man, I watch football, but I mean soccer. I'm like, let me just tell you guys every player that's named after. They're like, no. I'm like, all right, cool. I guess not. Never mind. Never again. Well, I
Tell me
tried.
how you really feel. Okay.
All right, now first and foremost, before we get into anything, I just want to know who you guys are leaning towards in terms of family heads and the families in terms of this conflict with Traumare and Gustang. So are you more like Paul Bedau, or are you kind of like more Lopobia, and why? Just I'm just curious, like, or are you taking the field? Like you think something else is gonna happen to shake things up? Like, where are you guys right now on that?
I guess I'll go first. I'm going to take the field.
Okay.
I would say the reason I'm taking the field is mainly because I'm not on either team. Because both I guess let me just go ahead and make a disclaimer. I am a webtoon only people. I am not scanned, so whatever goes on, whatever chapter scans is on right now, I have no idea about. I'm only talking about where we currently are as far as webtoon goes. So me, I feel something else is gonna happen. Somebody's gonna step in, and all this whole big battle fight that this back and forth between Trauma and Gustang, all that's gonna get deaded some kind of way.
Okay.
Don't know how, don't know who, but something's gonna happen, and it's not even gonna be what it currently is.
All right. I'm with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, okay, so what I think is going to happen is that I agree. I think something, whether it's like, I don't know, Fug or Wallhike Song are both here. I don't know if it'll be them. Something will happen that'll stop it from like one family from completely ending the other. But regardless of that, I'm full team Pobadao. We've started calling ourselves the Jobadao family over on my channel. You know,
I like that.
I'm
I like
ride or
that.
die. We're ride or die Pobadao. My thing is, it's I like Gustang, but I don't know what it is about Traumarai. I think that it's just that like his whole family is falling apart. Like every chapter, it just gets worse and worse. Like he wasn't even aware of everything that was happening with the branch leaders.
Mhm.
You know, to the point where he's kind of like following along with what Bellerir freaking. You know, Bellerir's the worst, right? And even Traumarai is having to like be like, okay, I'll play your game. It's just in my head, Gustang is the one. He's the rule breaker. He's the one that said, you know what, I'm gonna be the one that like breaks the rule. Jihad is waging war on him right now. You know, like or like
Yeah,
declared war on him. That's kind of insane that Jihad went out of his way to declare war on that one particular family. It's Gustang. My point is, it's Gustang versus everyone at this point. I think that's kind of awesome.
Okay,
And so
okay, I see
I
what
want
you're
to
saying. Like he's fighting on all fronts. Like every okay, I got you.
Yeah, right. Like right now, it's just Lopobia, but we
Mhm.
kind of forget. Like Jihad himself is the one that issued the order to eliminate the whole family.
I'll
So
never forget
I
that day.
respect that.
Yeah.
Never forget.
I said, bro,
Yeah.
what? I said, this is crazy. I was so hyped.
Pretty nuts.
Yeah.
For me, I guess it depends on if we're talking who I like more or who has been portrayed better, because I feel like I like Lopobia more, but Pobedao, with the exception of like Lobadan, Pobedao has gotten the better portrayal out of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to how I think it'll go, I do think that this series feels more like it's building towards a Traumaray death or defeat, but I also think that a Gustang death or defeat would be the better story option, would be the better writing, because I feel like Gustang has the grander actual motive here. He has a motive of wanting to get the memories back, spread the truth to the tower. He's upset about the Eurasia N stuff and all of that. So him dying in order to spread that truth, the history to the tower, or to free Eurasia N or anything like that, I think makes for the better story than Traumaray dying or losing. But it feels more like Traumaray is in a bad spot. And in addition to that, like what JD and Joe have said, it's like a third party is definitely involved. We have people like Kirin and Belleria, Revolution as a whole, uh, kind of like playing things behind the scenes. And up until the most recent chapter, as of the official release, Naya's out here just taking the her official release readers out on a field trip, and
Let's
and
go.
it's like up until the most recent one, I was like, so let's say Revolution, their actual plan works out. It's like, so somebody like Kirin supplants Traumaray as family head, and I won't get too much into Kirin since we'll talk about him later.
Mm-hmm.
But up until the most recent chapter, I was like, what does that mean? Wouldn't the other family heads not care? And until the most recent chapter with the stuff with the Fitbit, now I'm like, okay, I could see how things could end up with new people supplanting family heads, or people like Yurik coming in and actually doing what his stated goal is, which is
Gorgon's
to
fist.
stop them. But we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm. Ron?
I'm playing the field on this one.
Okay.
I don't know, for whatever reason I feel like someone will die, but I'm not sure if it'll be Gustang or Traumaray.
Okay.
So I'm someone important, definitely. I feel like it's gonna bite the bullet because this sprout has been built up to be something important.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not we know what it is, like why it's important, we're starting to get that. But I think someone's gonna drop here, and I feel like it might be like the first building block of all-out war.
Okay. As for myself, right? So when it comes, like, I was kind of like Haku, what you were saying. Like, I don't like, who do I like more? Gustang. I like Gustang more. I've seen him more. I like him. Now, I actually don't think Traumaray is like a bad character. I find him rather intriguing in a lot of weird ways, but I think he's a freak. That's why, like, on my channel, we be called,
that.
yeah, like,
Definitely
what is
that.
this bestiality talking about? I can't wait any longer, breed her. Like, bro, what is going on?
Consent
Like,
is in his dictionary, yeah, to say the least.
looking at a serpent master, mudflat snake, whatever like terminology you go by, just like, hey, I'm like, bro, why do you just throw Lauren out there? Like, bro, I don't know about this guy.
Right.
I can't support, but like, I know he's cold. I know he's cold.
Like in your stream last night when you were like, "How did Paul end up named Paul?" And I'm like, "He's the one that Traumare named. Traumare is deeply serious."
That's his worst offense, to be honest. Yeah, that's the worst thing he's ever done.
Like Yama Doom, what's your name? Paul. I was like, bro, what? Why is his name
Don't
like?
fit.
He shall be named Paul.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I have this like sneaking suspicion that he's trying to make like the Lopobia family kind of like seem like inept and like betrayal and stuff. And I'm like, is he trying to lead me into a false sense of security because he's gonna flip the script and get Gustang out of here? So I'm not sure, but like this, I'm gonna side with Gustang just because I think he's smarter and I like him more. But there's a lot of people in the Lopobia family that I really, really respect, and like Lobodon's one of them. Like I think he's dope. I think he's one of the better characters that were recently introduced. Now Tiara's my queen. Y'all don't know. Tiara came in like a wrecking ball. I messed with her heavily, but yeah, man. So I'm gonna go with Gustang for the time being. But I would absolutely not be surprised if it's the field and something kind of different comes into play here because we'll obviously dive into it a bit more later. But when Loose Leg popped in that ship, and then Volcycon came, and I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this. This is incredible. I've waited years for this, years. So I was really hyped. So with that being said, what I actually want to know with you guys, I'll start off first just very briefly. I want to know how you guys have felt about Tower of God and SIU since like coming back. More good, more bad. Are you somewhere in the middle? I could easily say since his return from this hiatus, while there's a lot of things that I'm not loving, it's been easily a lot more good for me than a lot more bad. There's a lot of very small things that I'm seeing that I really like. I even like the opening first chapter. Not first, but like when he came back, where I'm like, oh, he's speaking to Zahar. Like we're getting the backstory here for why he ended up going looking for Bam and everything. Bomb. So I'm like, okay, I like this. This is really good stuff. It kind of made sense of a lot of things that were happening. I've enjoyed Jam Jam or Zam Zam. I call him Mr. Mosby. Call him one mosquitoes. I like him. Like there's a lot of stuff like that was really moving me. And I actually thought they did a good job of making the Serpent Master look very dangerous. Like just off rip when he came, and stuff with Ren, a lot more things. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff here, but I want to know how you guys have felt about it.
I'll jump out there. I think since he's come back, well, for me, find myself in this thing where it's like I feel like I'm the most recent person to have started reading.
Yeah, when I caught up, we were Tower of God. It was season 1, the last examination. Like I've been doing this, not necessarily covering it for a while, but I've been reading it for like a decade plus.
Yeah, okay. I can't remember if I caught up during. I can never remember if I caught up during Hide and Seek or Last Examination.
Okay. I kicked off with the anime, so I watched the anime first, then went back and read, and I've been going ever since. And for me, because I've been able to read it like back to back with almost no hesitation, besides the last big break, like I feel like there's nothing I really didn't like about Tower of God.
That's fair.
So coming back, it was like more so like leading up to like the Gakja Doseng and all of that. There was like little things I was starting to find, and I was like, ooh, that kind of bothers me. I never like this is weird to experience it because I'm now going week to week, and I don't have the luxury of like 10 chapters in a day. So it's like the first inklings of me like finding things that I can pick at, but besides that, I've still been having a good time. I've been enjoying the characters that they've introduced. Having everyone be like, "Ooh, there's something cool coming." Like, stuff being built up for me doesn't bother me, but to like have like, "Ooh, that just pop in and dropped on my head" has been like a blessing.
That's my guy,
to say the least. But it's been more good than bad since he's come back.
Yeah,
for sure.
I definitely agree. With
you mind if I ask him a question real quick? I actually wanted to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So since you said you started off with the anime.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really talked to many people that really start with the anime and then go back and read. So I want to know from your perspective, how was the first season of the anime for you? Like, did you like it? I mean, obviously you liked it because I'm assuming you did, and you went back and read. But what was your thoughts on it? Because I don't really see too many, anime watchers, going and then reading and then talking about their experiences when they're going to read.
I actually had a few in my community. The only extra question I want to ask is, did you read it from the start or did you go from where you left off?
I went all the way back to the start and
Okay.
started from the beginning.
Okay, I want you to
Okay.
tell me like the differences that you kind of saw with the anime in like the first season too. I'm just curious. Just
So really quick, I enjoyed the anime a lot. It was the first episode. Everyone was popping off and going crazy. So I was like, let me see what this is about, and it hooked me. And I was like, okay, let me come back for week 2, and then week 2 got me to week 3, and then week 3 got me to week 4, and then I was like, I'm here now.
Mhm.
And then whenever the push happens, that's when like I feel like the internet goes crazy. Whenever the
Yeah,
push happens, so
Yeah.
I think
I will never forget that day.
I'll never forget it either. I was freaking out. I was losing my mind. It's
I was real
one of the
life
first
mad in the world, like in school. Like,
No.
why did she do that? Like, I was so mad, bro.
For me,
It's
like way back then, I was in like high school. So to me, my experience with this kind of stuff was shonen like Naruto, Bleach, and I'm like, oh, Rachel is just the female lead who's, honestly, with her legs hurt, going to get carried up the tower by Bomb.
Right.
Not
So
with her
for
legs
her
hurt.
to betray him was like
Mhm.
completely mind blowing to me, who was used to the shonen female leads at the time.
yeah, yeah. I was the same way. So when the push happened, it was world breaking. If I'm being honest, it shattered everything. But for me, like a little preface, if I'm watching an anime, I don't usually jump over to read. So the
Mhm.
fact that the push
Okay.
was like, I can't wait anymore. I had to go read. That's how
Nice.
hooked I was. And like after finishing the season and then going back and reading, I was able to see like what people were complaining about. But I think because the anime had introduced me to like this series that I find that's incredible, I still give it like grace. So it's like I know like some things got cut. I knew that some things were gonna get changed around. It's like they only had 13 episodes. So
Mhm.
it's like I'm able to give it grace, even though I can definitely see like this is missing. This is kind of a shell of itself. All these different things. But I do feel like if you watch the anime and you read it, even though you're missing some details, you still can have a conversation with someone that watched the anime. It
Mhm.
might not be as in depth as you would like it to be, but you still can have a conversation just about like the general story. And I feel like as that, just with those 13 episodes, I do feel like it did a good job. Like I've gone back to watch it and it's still glaring some of the things that happen, but I
Mhm.
still end up having a good time by the time I get to that 13th episode with all the changes.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm like the hater, like the critic, the harsh one. So
Yeah.
as soon as like I saw him like bloodlusted with like the like black marks, I'm like, what is this? And I completely checked out. I am gonna.
Gotcha.
I did end up finishing it later after the fact, and I'm gonna watch season 2. But most people know why. Mule Love. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's my favorite
everybody.
character. I gotta hear him. I always say like I half expect him to have like a cutesy voice, but I'm like, would it be wrong if his voice was just really deep? Like
Dude,
Yeah.
just
that
my,
needs to happen.
my name is Mule Love. I'm like, oh shoot. I like spicy chicken. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now, who was your favorite newly introduced character? Since like I guess since he came back, that you like, and why is it Tiara? No, I'm kidding. But that's mine. That's
really
mine.
quick. No, really quick. Could I jump in on the previous question though? I know we got a little
Absolutely,
sidetracked.
absolutely.
Yeah, go
Okay, I had a thought I wanted to say about it, which was that with since the return, I think I was trying to think about this question. I think the biggest thing, and I heard many people say this, since the hiatus return, we've gotten like a lot of lore, which we didn't really get that much. I was trying to think of what was missing, right? Because I liked the Nest, and I know it might not be everyone's favorite, but I really enjoyed it. But comparing that to what we're getting now, it feels like a lot of that original spark from us first reading the series and finding out about this world. We're getting a lot more of that. Like for the first time, we're seeing Luzlek, and we're getting more on like Hike Song and Thug. We're seeing more on the family heads, and
Absolutely.
it feels like we haven't had that since, I don't know,
Ever.
such a long years. It feels like it's
Hell
been
Train,
years.
probably.
Hell Train,
Yeah.
yeah, probably, right? Because and I think it's because a lot of it has just been focused on Bomb, and I think it's opened up a lot more to the point where it's like, I say this every week, it's unpredictable. I don't know when I start reading the chapter, I don't know who we're going to be following. I don't know what's going to happen, and that feeling of like complete unexpected that unexpected nature is really fun, and I think that's what makes the post hiatus chapters stand out.
I can agree with that for the most part, because even Haku, when yesterday when I reacted to his like character appearance stuff, or like screen time stuff, and he was saying that like with just G's 100 chapters, Bomb hasn't been in a lot of these chapters, like. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's true. Like, think about when like Yasuracha and Yama were doing their own thing with the librarian and the handcuffs and the book and stuff. Like, we have actually taken focus. He was one of the best season 3 characters. It was sad to see him go, but I needed him to go like quicker. I'm like, please don't drag this. But
I know it's a topic. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to that.
But he's cool. He's dope. Like, I'm gonna like do a character analysis for him. I like him a lot. My other for me is Tiara. It's so crazy because I have primacy bias over recency bias. It's the things that have stuck with me for a long time. It's not really the nostalgia thing, but like the way I threw Yuri in the garbage so quick after that fight with Tiara, I said, "Oh nah, Tiara, she mo better." She mo better. The pen work. I said, "Bro, this is gas. I love her. Everything about her is great." As she can fight, took the headbutt. I said, "Wait, nah. She's cold. Stop playing with her." Second place, I'd give it to Robodon. I like him. He's a very, very solid character. I have a lot of respect for him. I like him a lot. Jam Jam is like half a meme, half a joke, but I enjoyed him. Even like I'm like, bro, no, he's gone. Then the little mosquitoes dragonfly started to remake it. I'm like, you'll make him better, stronger, faster, smarter. Look at this guy. He's the best. He's a hotel manager. He raw. So those are my 3.
Okay. I'll answer this one, but I want to jump in and like give my answer to the last one too.
Okay.
But so getting back into the post hiatus stuff, before that, when we were in like the cage, the walls, the early nest, I was always like, oh yeah, this is good, but I would always say this is good for current Tower of God, where it's kind of shifted focus into what it is now. I'd always be saying, yeah, this is good for current Tower of God, but since we've gotten back from hiatus, I'm just saying like, this is good. This no asterisk for modern Tower of God needed. To me, reading week to week, I have complaints here and there. I have criticisms, of course, but it's just fun. It's just good week to week. And I feel like it's, for me, on that same level as reading early season 2 week to week, where I have complaints. I always have had criticisms, but I'm just enjoying it so much. And I think it's gotten so much better. And for like what you said with taking some of the focus away from Bomb, I've been saying since like the Cat Tower, we had spent so much time, if we were seeing anything, we were seeing Bomb. So to get chapters that were devoted to like Hatsu and Cha against Kendrick Deal, or even like Yuhan Sung versus Hiracha, I was like, it is wild that we are giving side characters actual like development and actual 1-on-1 or 2v1 fights.
Yeah.
I think even since back then, that was starting to be an improvement. And it just feels like we've kept improving more and more. The hotel arc was amazing. Since then, I feel like I have more criticisms with the post-hotel stuff than with the hotel arc. But even then, it's just been really good in my opinion. And for who my favorite characters are out of all of that, I think I made a video on something like this, and I think I said it was Serpent Master. And I do like Serpent Master, but I feel like Tiara has kind of overtaken Serpent Master for me as the best so far from the new characters introduced.
Let's go.
Okay.
That's the right answer.
Tiara's the kind of character that like it feels like she's been around longer because she has that much of an impact. You know, it's if she feels like a mainstay character in the series, which is always fun. I hope so too. I agree with all that. I think Tiara is a standout. I like Mate too. I mean, he doesn't. I like his fight against Jam Jam. He has a really fun line where what does he say? Something about there's gonna be a lot of mosquitoes this summer. I was like, okay, dude, that was a good line. I really like that line. I want to give a shout out. This is gonna be such a weird answer. I don't know how popular this character is outside of my reactions and such, but I want to give a shout out to Dumas, because Dumas was our first example of like aside from the family head, this is our strongest in the entire family, or like top 2 or whatever he is.
I straight up thought you were gonna say Noobles.
I thought you were gonna say
Well,
Hugo.
Newble's is a given.
I thought you
I
were
was,
gonna
Hugo,
say
Hugo
I was
too.
gonna say Hugo.
Okay, I'll save you can talk about Hugo. Newble's is a given. All right, Newble's is a legend. But when it comes to Dumas, he's our first example of like what can we expect from the strongest aside from the family head. And at first Jin Sung comes out of the portal to fight him, and I was like, okay, so this is Jin Sung's matchup. But instead, Dumas takes on Karaka, Jin Sung, Bomb. Everybody starts showing up, and he's like holding his own. And then later on, he's taking out Traumarized Shinwei, and it's like, oh my god, like I don't know again what happens after the current chapters on Webtoon.
He is incredibly powerful. Like I couldn't he's like, I have to go to the irregular. I don't care if you're a family head. I said, who do you think you are?
Yeah, right. He's like living up to that expectation really well. So I want to give him a shout out. Yeah.
And plus the armor gimmick, right? So I'm like, damn, he's different.
Right.
For real.
Yeah, like
he saw Karaka and knew.
Like to jump in and like, yeah, he has the armor, so he might actually have a really cool character design with his real body and everything.
True.
But I wanted to say that he has a carrier. He ignited the carrier against like Bomb, Yama, Jinsung, and Karaka.
Yeah.
And in the blog posts way back when, I think CU said there were only like 9 or 10 carriers in the tower, and that Adori had one of them. So he's like one of the only 9 or 10 people to have one of these things.
That's sick.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, Dumas is him though. Timothy, as the kids say. Anyone,
Yes, he is.
anyone want to talk about anyone else?
I'll hop in. So outside of like Robodon, I feel like Robodon has been one of my favorite characters since we've come back. But Hugo, I feel like Hugo amused me way more. I think first initial like appearance, I was like, "Who is this?"
Mm-hmm.
And then as the chapter kept going, I was just like, "Damn it, I think I like
call her
her."
material girl in my chat.
It was just like, all right. After like first appearance, I was like, okay. And then after she starts throwing down with Robodon, I'm just like, wait, but I don't want nothing bad happen to her. I was like, I just don't want this to be it. Please no. And it's just like, damn, is she gone? And then she comes out. I'm like, okay, all right. Keep this to myself. I'll keep to myself how happy I am. But I'm extremely happy that she's just around.
Nice.
No matter if she's groveling or not. But yeah, outside of Hugo, Robodon has just been, I feel like he feels like that grandpa character. That's always like the old men in anime that just
I also
put
didn't
their dick on
initially
the
notice
table.
he had one. Yeah, I didn't initially know he only had one arm. Someone pointed that out to me. Oh, he does have one arm. I didn't notice that initially.
Yeah.
And I like his like dragon scale like chainmail kind of like thing he has over. Like he looks cool. Like I like him. The man is.
He has a really cool design.
JD.
As far as my favorite character or just how I feel about it, I'll probably have to agree with you as far as Tiara.
Yes.
She's kind of been my favorite, my go-to. Can't wait to see on screen. As far as how I feel about it returning, I'm enjoying where it's going. I still feel like I still have the same joy and passion for the series, but I do feel like part of me is still kind of looking for that next big to kind of reignite me, kind of like how when I first started reading, for me it was the Hell Train arc, and that kind of really just like sunk me to the bottom and dove into Tower God. So I'm still kind of waiting to get my feet back in as far as like that deep dive that I used to do. But I think what's kind of helping me along with enjoying it a lot more is when I do my videos on Tower God, I'm doing it like every other week. So I'm having 2 chapters
Okay.
to read at once. So it's giving me, a better feel and a better enjoyment rather than waiting a week to week.
I feel that.
I can co-sign that feeling that you were talking about of needing like that plunge, like that next thing to just drag you deeper. And I feel like the last couple of weeks, I'm like, for me, like the Floor of Death was my like the thing that made me really truly like fall in love with Tower of God. And I'm like, I feel like I'm waiting for like that next like massive like revealing chunk of information that will allow everyone to just expand all of the thoughts that we keep bouncing around off of each other. just like another like groundbreaking piece of information. Like, oh, this actually happened. That changes how I feel about this event that I've been thinking about, or these characters, or certain interactions. I feel like that's what I'm waiting for, and that's just gonna drag me back down into the hole.
Right.
I feel that. I want to give a shout out to Garnak. I like him. He's pretty cool. Obviously
Agreed.
Loose Leck, right?
Of course.
Gotta give a shout out to him.
That's what I thought everyone was gonna say. Yeah.
No, TR. But I like,
I underestimated
but
the
I,
Tiara love.
but
yeah.
I like,
Tiara's Bay, man.
yeah. I said,
I love Luzlek. I didn't want to jump in on talking about him too often because I've been
Yeah.
hyping up for years. I've just been like, wait until Luzlek gets here. I can't wait to see Mirchia. Can't wait to see what he's like.
Mhm.
And then he shows up. Slightly after he shows up, Yurik walks in, and I'm like, oh my god! I hyped this guy up for years, and he's gonna get washed in like
Right.
a chapter.
He
I was
finally comes
so
in after all these years just to
terrified.
get bodied. Oh man.
nah, give him credit, man. You showed out, cause like one thing that we were
He did.
talking about in my community a lot, and well, I guess we could talk about it, I don't mind. It was that like we were talking about the in tower born inhabitants we thought were like the outliers that could. We're not saying they're gonna beat a family head in a regular, but but like a family head couldn't take them lightly. They have to put their back into it. So we said Luslek, Bayek, Ryun. I think we said
Yeah.
the leader of the Three Lords, Malik PGR1, whatever his name is. I think it's something like that. We put a Dory and I think there's like maybe a few more. I can't remember. Oh, the first kids that Ha Yurin and Arihan had. So we
Oh, the
we-
twins.
yeah, so we had a few people were like these were the ones we would say like probably could maybe do something. We don't know for sure. I could be wrong. But I thought Loose Like and his spells and stuff were really dope. So like I thought he had a good showing. But yeah. That was a big conversation we were having for a while. We thought anybody
Like I
yeah.
always watch your reactions and discussions, and one of the things that you said that I liked was like Tower of God would be really, really, really boring if a Tower-born person couldn't do anything to an irregular.
Yeah.
And for
Mhm.
me, something I've always said is the rankings aren't like strict power scaling, but to me, I've always been like Bakerion is ranked 9. If a random family head could just walk in and ruin his whole career, I feel like saying that it is just what do they say influence? Saying that it is influence is just cope because I'm like there is no amount of influence in the world that could put you at number 9 if Tupari could just walk in and wash you
Sneeze you into oblivion. Like yeah.
Point.
Yeah.
And just logically speaking, if you look at somebody like Eurasia N is the child of one irregular and another irregular with the
Absolutely.
blood of a third irregular fused in. So even if the others, like the family heads, even if they have like immortality contracts, I don't think it's ridiculous to think that somebody like Luzlek or Eurasia N could win a fight with them. It's just that because of the immortality contract, they might not be able to kill them. They would just always respawn eventually.
Yeah. With you on that. But just something that we talked about a lot, and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of with you guys on a lot of these, but interesting. I do want to say one thing. I personally, I'm just me. I have Keaton on fraud watch. I'm not calling him a fraud yet, but you're on fraud watch. Okay. The joke that we were making is that when Lobodon pulled up on him and like Yuri and Tiara, he didn't want no smoke. He didn't really want smoke like that. He kind of ran from it. And then like the joke that we make is that he basically went like, Lobodon, Daddy gave you the power of a tree, but you don't act like a tree. And we're like, what? What are you mad about? This guy's so funny to me.
No.
My thing with Kirin is I forget I said it in somebody's chat recently where I was like Kirin looks cool,
Yeah.
and I feel like everybody I watch, everybody I talk to thinks he looks cool, but I don't know if anybody like really likes him that much.
The design is so raw, but I'm like,
It's
listen.
so cool.
Hopefully you're gonna prove me wrong, like Ultimate Beast Tamer number 2, blah blah blah. But I was just like, I don't know, man. I'm putting him on the fraud watch list for the time.
I'm
being.
with you. He started opening his mouth and saying things, and I'm like, wait, are we throwing a temper tantrum?
Right?
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Are we looking to overthrow because we were mad at Daddy? What's happening?
That and
I'm like,
something-
oh God, no.
something that up until the most recent chapter with like the Fitbit and artificial like Shinwanryu stuff, up until that, I kept saying, I was like, so Revolution's whole plan here seems to be that they're children of the family heads or whatever, that from what Gororo said, they want to supplant the family heads because them being immortal kind of ruins the general natural order of things where the old generation dies out and the new generation rises up. But I'm like, if they succeed in taking out Traumerei, and if Kirin takes over as the next family head of the Lopobia family, why would the other family heads take Kirin seriously? But then seeing that it might be possible to manufacture Shinwanryu, that kind of changes everything with the whole tower.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, so since Kirin's ship has that technology, if Kirin got that presumably from Gaston and whoever like else has this technology, then to me, I'm like, okay, maybe there is a reason for them to take somebody like Kirin seriously as a new family head if Traumerei gets taken out.
There's actually a lot of examples of that because even Ghost has Shinwan Ryu. Is that also manufactured? Is that an
And
example of a
I think
manufactured
it
one?
could be because remember, Akryung is part of Rachel's team, and
Right.
Rachel was the one who brought it to Gaston. Gaston
Ooh.
presumably then used it to make the ship one reuse, and then gave it back to
Ship
Rachel
one
for the
reuse.
most recent
Nice.
chapter. So like, to me, and I think that finally makes the hidden floor make sense because Gaston is like, "Oh, I'm gonna send you to the hidden floor to get something that's a hard weakness or whatever," and then she goes and gets a Fitbit, and I'm like, "Does this have like a dark secret of his that they're going to
Fitbit.
like blackmail, use it against him that way?" I was like, "What possibly could be in this Fitbit that is Zahard's weakness?" But then, if it allows Rachel to use Shinwanryu to open the door, like we saw in the most recent official chapter, if it lets you replicate it to do the ships that can warp without needing a warp gate and like do the Shinwanryu attacks that they've been doing, then to me, that actually does make it something that is Zahard's weakness. Because Zahard and the Ten Family Heads have been hanging out with irregular powers, and it's like no matter what any of these Tower-born people do, they've got irregular powers. They don't have to worry. But if Gaston spreads something out there, that is like actually a revolution that allows people to use artificial Shinwanryu. That's taking away kind of the big thing that the Ten Family Heads have over native Tower people.
You know what you made me think of when you were saying that, and I like it. I haven't thought about it in that way, but as you were saying that, like to me, I was just like, why would like, let's say Caliban was one of the people in there, right? I'm like, Caliban is strong. I like him, but like he's not cold like that. Like someone could just take him out, and like, but that family would just be like in shambles, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you made me think of is like with the Shinwanryu technology, the ship Wanryus and everything. It's like if every family had as a Kryptonian, you have kryptonite, so you could do
Right.
something. Like, don't get twisted. You're not strong enough, but you have a way to weaken them and hurt them. So I like that. I like that. I like that thought.
Yeah,
process.
it's like if
That
you
makes
have
sense
an
to me.
entire army of people who just have like Shinwanryu weapons, Shinwanryu technology,
like armor and
then-
swords and stuff, like
yeah, even
needles.
if they're not like family head level, there's at least like the family heads at least have some kind of danger to their lives that wasn't there before.
Yeah, I like that.
Also, piggybacking off of that, you made me think of something, and I feel like I'm not well equipped to like think back on this, but
No, you good.
wasn't it one of Kuhn's like ideals to like take over?
Oh, he
for
wants to
Edon?
lead. He wanted to lead
Yeah.
the.
He wanted to lead the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. So did.
And could
What was
this-
the other one? Yeah. What? You were.
Oh no, you were saying something. I was just it made me think of like with this introduction of possibly weaponizing Shinwanryu, could he have this reignited again? Because it feels like it hasn't been mentioned in hundreds of chapters by it.
It hasn't. We,
'Cause so
we
could
joked
this-
that he's become Bam's mom.
I have opinions on them still being around,
People
but
don't like Aguero, by the way. I didn't know how. I know he was hated like that in the community. They do not like
Really?
Aguero.
I
I
like
him until recently.
Interesting.
I asked
I
my
like him.
community
That is.
who's the character they hate the most, and they said Aguero by quite a bit.
No,
I-
I
like
just
Aguero.
watched earlier this week. Pyro Prima reacted to the character poll from back at 550, and he just hated Kuhn and Rack, and I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I didn't expect this level of hatred.
I don't hate them. I just feel like
He's lost his agency a little bit and what it is he wants to do. He's
Yes.
taking a backseat to Bam in a lot of ways. I get you.
Like the both of them, it feels like Kuhn was super important when he was the smartest person in the room because everybody was regulars.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But now it's like we're around rankers and high rankers and irregulars and these individuals that have been around well longer than he's been alive. And what made him special, just he's just normal now, it feels like.
I mean, I would agree, but we have seen him be fairly active recently.
Yeah,
I mean,
but sometimes I feel like that just messes with how we've established what a regular is, what a ranker is,
What-
high ranker, irregular. Like to have that regular blur that line, and we've seen damn near his whole experience in the tower. It kind of feels like how could you influence these godlike beings?
well, but if the criticism or the outlook on this is that before Kuhn he had an impact because he was the smartest person in the room, but now we're around rankers and like how do we what would be the solution? Because if we're going to be around rankers, the only way for someone like Kuhn to be relevant would be using his intelligence, right? It wouldn't be through his physical prowess or anything. And
Yeah.
we can take that apart, but I'm curious, like what other option is there for his character then?
I feel like maybe he shouldn't be in this environment
Okay,
because there could just like how his physical prowess isn't the highest, there could be other rankers who their physical prowess isn't the highest either. And I just get into the thing of like how can Kuhn's experience as a regular outweigh like a ranker's experience as being a ranker if they're both like individuals who think a lot? Like what like
Hmm.
puts Kuhn over the edge that would have him come out victorious in a situation against someone that's similar
Yeah.
to him?
I mean, I'll say one more thing about this, which is that like I don't see. I personally think that we see it with Shibisu kind of too in a very small way. I think back to like the Nest when I think it was with Evan Kell, right? There's a couple of moments where Evan Kell is like shocked at how good these regulars are, both Shibisu and Kun, how good these
Yeah.
regulars are at like what they do, to the point where someone like Evan Kell, who's been around for who knows how long and is obviously a powerhouse, would not come anywhere close in terms of using a lighthouse or using an observer.
Right.
So setting them up as these kind of like prodigies. Same with Hockney, actually. We have all these regulars that are like kind of like prodigies. Yeah, I think to your point, like maybe the environment could help with that to keep them relevant. But I guess for me, I'm always willing to give Kuhn the intelligence leeway just because of his established character up until this point.
I'll
I
just
hear that. I hear that.
I'll just say this: like my only kind of issue with him has just been that I didn't feel like he was acting on the established goal that he had set up for himself, that he wants to be the leader of the Kun family at some point. I just felt like that fell to the wayside. Credit where credit is due. He's had a lot of moments in season 3, in my opinion, where I'm like, okay, see, this. I'm okay with you doing this. I don't need you to be fighting and mixing up people with your hands. It's like with on the, I think it was the second offensive wall or around that part when Ivanka kind of got shot in the head and he used the bullet to teleport it into the Windbird core to take it out.
Mhm.
Smart move. I like that. When he actually used IU to power up that one K9 person or Houndborn and then took the power away, and that was smart. Like he's done things like that doesn't like that I think is dope. It was just like me like, yo, I need you to kind of get back into your own goals as well. Like I understand you're gonna take a back seat to Bam a bit. I just want to see you engage with wanting to become a family head to go. By the way though, I do think Rack and Aguero are basically like at the lowest level of ranker level since absorbing White's power. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I
So
see that.
I can agree with that.
I think Kun is at his best when he's planning, tricking other characters, again, doing this intelligent stuff. And I think that maybe too often, CU has just had him completely just fooled, completely tricked by somebody else. And that portrayal has maybe not done him the best service.
I actually think this is a good segue into the next question. You can finish what you're saying just real quick though. I do want to know if anybody thought at one point Aguero had actually kind of fooled and tricked Traumare when he put the
No.
thing on delay.
No.
Okay,
A split second.
Okay,
Like a
Yeah,
split second, I
had-
felt it.
I did.
I did.
Joe, I will lie. You know,
Again,
Sam. I'm like, did he get him?
Yeah,
I thought so.
Because to me, even if you're at the power level, maybe especially if you're at the level of power of Traumare, I think that maybe you don't take them seriously. I think you're more susceptible to having somebody just trick you into something that you're taking for granted. But with what all of you were saying about where they are in comparison to rankers, I get crucified by my comments for saying this a lot, but I just think that logically speaking, Bomb's allies being like ranker level right now, when we are technically on like the 40 something floor, but they've climbed to the 50 something floor, I'm fine with them being ranker level because no matter how you look at it, by the end of the story, it's not like they were going to get to the top, then hang out as rankers for a couple hundred years, then continue the story. They were going to need to be like high ranker level by the time we're in the 100s. And in addition to that, imagine you're a part of a team. We got a team that made it to the top, and I don't want to hate on some of like the regulars we've seen, but imagine you're the Hanul Kong and you are part of your team getting carried up the tower. You make it to the 100th floor, you become a ranker. You're not going to be, to me, as strong as Andrasi is right now as a princess of Zahard, even if you have made it to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to me, that's the thing with Bomb's allies is that almost all of Bomb's allies are really special cases. Kuhn is particularly talented and from a 10 family. Rack is a native one. You've got Elaine, who spent 1,000 years taking out any regular who came through the name hunt station, including regulars from the 10 families, without taking a single loss ever.
I really wish he had
Haku
something to do this arc, by the way, but keep going.
and like
For sure.
even the weaker regulars that are around Bomb, Lilial and Chilial are princesses. Kasano took down an entire station by himself, and that's Kasano we're talking about. And when you look at Bomb's allies, we got into season two, and all of the top five regulars of that rank were Bomb's allies except for Varagarv. And then, and even others like Quattro and Novik were top 10. And then we go up a rank. It's like, okay, now we're in a new rank with new regulars, and the top three, top four technically, with Lilial, Shilial, Sachi, and Elaine are all Bomb's friends now. So Bomb's friends aren't just like middle of the road or even above average regulars. Out of the millions of regulars, like Bomb's allies are consistently always the strongest ones in the tower. So being the strongest regulars in any rank, to me, I'm like, I don't really mind if they're ranker level, especially when ranker level to me lost meaning when I think it was Kadede talking to Catan and Lobadan, and he's like, oh, they have ranker level soldiers on the other side. So they're not even rankers. They haven't even climbed the tower. They're just random soldiers that are ranker level. So if random soldiers can be there, I think that exceptional regulars can.
Oh, I agree. I was like, but BAM is different, and the experiences that you're gonna have climbing within a regular is gonna be different from a regular, ragtag group of regulars. You know what I'm saying? So like, oh, that made sense to me. And I think at some point they're gonna be doing all the administrator tests, which is gonna help them out in totality even more so. Because I think about like Loose like and maybe Quadrado and some other people who climb with the 13 Great Warriors. They're going to be regulars who become rankers and higher rankers who are just a cut above the rest because of the things they had to experience traveling with monsters like that. And being around monsters like that you might have to cut your teeth against, they say steel sharpens steel, they're going to be way stronger. So yeah, I totally agree.
Oh,
100%.
I forgot to mention too, because you talked about Kuhn just following Bomb around and not really going for the whole like head of the family thing as much.
Mhm.
I just reread by like watching other people's reaction series and stuff. I just got through the part on Hell Train where Kuhn is training with Evan, and I think Evan asks him, like, why are you doing all this? Why are you going to the floor of death when it's dangerous to go up with this irregular? And Kuhn says, like, imagine you have a once in a lifetime opportunity to like do something special, shake up the tower or whatever. How do you live with yourself if you just let that pass and don't go along with it?
Mm. Bars. Shout out to Aguero,
Big
man.
bars.
I'm not an Aguero hater. I'm an Aguero enjoyer. So, I want to talk about Yasaracho's death a little bit. I think he's a good character. I like him. I really do. I didn't like that. I thought like honestly, he died quicker than I ended up expecting, all things considered. But I'm like, do you guys feel like he dragged it a little bit with like the core? Like, oh, I might die in like 4 months.
bit.
I was like, take him out now.
Let me
or
go
not?
first.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me go first because I have to hop out after this. But he definitely dragged that out. He dragged it on way too long. At least in my opinion. I think he should have died when originally he was going to die, not oh I'm dying, and then we go like 20 some chapters. Yeah, I'm still dying. I'm almost there. Couple more chapters. I'm right there. I promise you. This time is it. Is it? I'm like, okay. You're making me kind of annoyed with the character now because it's like he had this really great story, this really great, introduction, the past, bringing everything together, and now you're making him kind of just an eyesore because like, okay, is he gonna die now? Is he gonna die now? Is it now? And then it just got to the point where it's like, okay, I just need him to die. I, I feel like you're
Okay.
giving him all this screen time and not dying. But that's just
I,
me. I don't know.
I have thoughts on that. Because I want to play devil's advocate because I do agree with that to an extent. And I do think part of this though is because when Yasracha escaped and he I have like 2 months to live or whatever, we then had the whole hotel arc in between, and then we got to cut back to Yama and Yasracha, and we were like, okay, because of that gap of time, I feel like it felt longer. But I'm rereading those chapters with Amy right now, and it we got through that stuff in just a few weeks, right? And
Mhm.
and he's already dying, and so I feel like to me, because it was done because of the hotel arc, it feels like it's been dragged out. But like Naya said, I feel like he's dying faster than I would have expected, and because he didn't die with Trauma right at the beginning, it gave him like one more chance to share a bit more lore, set up Yama's character a bit more, and then also have a pretty cool moment where it ties back to him controlling Yama, but this time controlling Yama to take down Giscard or to fight Giscard, which I think is a really fun and creative use of their abilities there. That's me playing devil's advocate though, because I do see your point. I think because of the hotel arc, it made it feel like it dragged out longer. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
That could definitely be it.
I
But
would
I need to go ahead and how about guys? Now I appreciate it.
of course.
Great talking to you guys again. Definitely got to do this more often.
Definitely.
great
Sir.
talking to
And
you.
I will catch y'all later, man.
All right, man. Take
Take
care.
care.
Have a
Yeah.
good
All
one.
right.
Go ahead. What you gonna say?
I was gonna say I don't think it was dragged out, but I like some of the execution, but I question some of the other execution. I don't think it was dragged out because we end the nest, and right after we end the nest, we don't see these characters again for I think like 25 chapters ish. So we
Right.
get 25 chapters without them. Then by the time we see them again, it's probably like 12 or less chapters before he dies. And
That's what I mean. Yeah.
to
It's
me,
like we just had the middle. Yeah.
what I like about the way it was handled was that he was killed by Traumaray. He fought against Traumaray. He finally fought against his control, wasn't controlled by him, and he was basically killed there, but he was like, I'm dying. It is going to take a while for it to happen, which I'm okay with that happening because we've seen crazy injuries to high rankers and high rankers have been fine. So if it's like, it's going to take me 5 months to bleed out, it's like, okay, you're a high ranker. I'll believe you. I'll suspend my disbelief. um, so I'm cool with that. It's like it gave him more time with Yama, like Joe said. The parts that I question about it is that though I like that he did die to Traumaray and he got his last bit of time with Yama, I feel like maybe a little more could have been done with that. Maybe it was emotional with his whole like I miss Wong Wong stuff, but at the same time, I do think a little more maybe could have been done there. And then just having him leave on, hey, I'll give you my notes on the Highbrider is kind of odd given that the Highbrider in the nest wasn't handled all that well. I'm left still
Definitely
being
true.
like,
Yeah.
what was the Highbrider? Did the Highbrider matter? It was pretty much one shot by Traumaray, who was just flexing his Shinwan not even directly targeting it. So it does make me question,
Rip McCain, bro.
I'm like,
Dude,
how
always.
yeah. I'm like, that's the part of the writing I'm like, about when it comes to his death.
Okay.
Yeah. Same boat. I really don't. It feels dragged out because of just the placement of it. But I think where it like maybe rubs everyone the wrong way is like it's not conventional. Like we're used to like when a character dies in a battle, they die like on that battlefield and then that's it for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, they get to come along with us and still teach us lessons and still do all these things. Very rarely is it like that. So it's like because of its unconventional like status of it happening, that's why it feels like it was dragged, even though not that much time really passed since that battle and like the chapters that it transpired in.
Okay. But he's a good character, so rest in peace,
Yeah,
Yasuo. I
he
like
is
Definitely.
I liked him a lot.
absolutely.
It was sad
Really
to
good character.
It was sad to see him
I
go.
loved how CU rolled out his backstory.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it's like he kept feeding us a little by little. It's like he would give
Yeah.
us some and then let us live with him again. And every time we would get more information, it would change our perspective of him. Because it's like, oh, first it's like this guy's a piece of trash, and then you get a little bit more, and it's just like, but wait, could he be like this? And you get a little more. It's like, oh, he might actually be like this. And you get a little more, and it's like, damn, maybe I need to go think back when I thought he was a piece of trash. Well, like, what was that actually? And then it makes you reread it. So I think it was done like really, really well. I really enjoyed that.
It's kind of funny.
I think
What?
I think that CU does a good job with, gray morality in his characters. Like, I'm saying gray as if it's like, we see the good sides of Yusracha, but then we also see that he, like, murdered all the Beastkin in the past. He did all this
Yeah.
stuff and all of his commanders' backstories. Then it's like, oh man, Joaquin's so cool. We really like White. Meanwhile, he's killed over 1 billion people.
Yeah,
We're like, oh man, Yuri's coming back. So exciting as she slaughters a bunch of indigenous tower inhabitants. And it's like, there is a lot of gray morality here. Even Bomb as the main character has just gone up against like the random species during the cat tower
Oh
or
yeah,
the canine dog guys that
yeah.
Yama had made, and he's like, yeah, well, no choice but to kill all these people.
Yep.
He does have that cool moment where like the bodies are like landing on the windshield of the ship, and he
yeah.
has to
And he's
kind of
like,
come to terms with it. Yeah.
I wanted to say if I did something, it's what you got to do, bro.
Yep.
I was gonna say with Yasuracha first. It's so funny because it's like the first time I had to really eat crow with this series. I'm like, man, he's not cold. Yeah, but pack him up. That he lost, and I was
yeah,
like, I was unfamiliar with your game. I'm messed up. That's why with Live Bork, I was a little more careful. And then I remember
Yeah.
when they fought a second time, I'm like, bro, is he protecting Yama? Like I could like I started to question his motives. Like I feel like he's trying to protect him from getting too deep into the Lobo Pia nest, if you will. And then we got the backstory with Nanea and everything, which is all good stuff with the Wangman and everything. And I was like, okay, I get it now. And I saw him like, no, he's a good character. I mess with him. He's dope.
Yeah. I remember thinking just really quick, like on that point of him protecting Yama. Like I think I was seeing some opinions of like, how come he's not killing Yama and all this like confusion around there. But I think that's the cool part about Isai's writing in that situation where he didn't spell it out for us that, it's so unconventional that Yasracha is beating the hell out of Yama, leaving him barely alive in order to protect him in this like crazy roundabout, go into their backstory and find out later kind of way. And I think that's, yeah, to that point, really, really well done.
Yeah.
I still know that we're probably never going to get it, but I want more Nenea backstory from that. Because we still don't know
Yeah.
how she got the Acronac that was apparently part of a Slayer before, and we
really
still
weird.
don't know how she knew about like the flowers and machines.
Yeah, that was a line that I thought was a kind of a throwaway line that I'm like, oh no, she was saying something when she said that. Like all things considered, the
And something
only thing
that
I'll
I
say,
noticed about
hold on,
oh,
real
sorry.
quick. I'm just gonna say I like to mention this. Conceptually, I still like the idea of Immort and Bayroad from the blog post more. But I have no problem with the three brothers' backstory in conjunction with Nene and Wang Mang. I still think it was really well done. But in my mind, I'm like the idea that someone helped him and he escaped and became a rank, became a slayer. Like there's a part of me that still wanted that, but it was still well done.
I hear you.
Go ahead, though.
Same, I agree. I was gonna say because I've been I've been like watching. Well, Joe's been part of it. Amy's reactions or read throughs, the old ones that I didn't catch live,
Mhm.
and I've been going through the Hell Train, and I just really noticed in Dollar Show that I really feel like CU has been thinking about this machine and flower stuff since then, I obviously knew, the purple Dementor is there. The purple Dementor is this observer that's ancient. It's been around longer than the 10 families have been in the tower or whatever. So there's the machine stuff set up there, and I didn't really tie it in until Luzlek came, but we get Sachi who uses spells, and all of Sachi's spells are like the Thorn
Like
Bush
thorn
and the
whips,
Creep
yeah, yeah,
Vine.
yeah.
They're all
Right.
plants, just like all of Luzlek's spells are plants.
That's a good point.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
There's and then like even just like the sprout, right? Like a big
Yeah.
beanstalk vine thingamajig. So it's just like this plant and machine stuff really means something. So
Yeah, so even as
I'm
far
excited
back
to
as
dive into
Dollar
it.
Show, we were
That is
getting
cool.
plant and machine stuff.
Another thing with like design, quick sidetrack, but not to get too far off. Whenever we were introduced to Mershea and we see like all like the butterfly paraphernalia and how it's like they have like hairpins and their clothes are similar to butterflies. And then I think of like how Bomb had stole like the blue shield from Love and utilized that so that he could fly and stuff. And then it's like the shield turned into like these butterfly wings and all that. Like, could that be something like similar to like his lineage and why it changed, or was it like what was behind him getting the wings and all of that, and is it connected to like his lineage possibly, like the Grace lineage?
Oh,
I,
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 I I think the butterfly pattern stuff might just be a bit of a motif for FUG because they have like the butterfly piercing wave techniques and things of that nature.
Yeah.
There were some people who, and my like, I can't wait to dive into this because some people were going crazy. They're like, no, you don't understand. That's actually V, but thing is puppeting V's body. Loose leg took over like Necromancer. I'm like, oh, jeez,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that's
I
why
heard
half his
they-
face is like messed up. And I'm like, oh, damn. I don't think like Loose leg and Bam are related at all in that sense. But I do think that's just kind of a part of the symbology of FUG, it seems, because a lot of their techniques have butterfly in it. That was my take. Because even Garnak, but one of the elders, he kind of looks like a moth, butterfly type thing. So, well,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Was-
Not sure.
going to ask your opinions. Like, how do you think that Grace Mircea Luzlek is related to Grace Arlen and Juviole Grace?
Oh, he worked. I think they said that he was a war. I think that V was a warlord.
I know he
and
was a
Loose-
warlord under V.
Yeah, yeah.
But given that they have the same family name, do you think there's an actual blood relation, or he was adopted into the same family?
Can you had left that comment under one of my videos. Can you re-explain like how the naming scheme goes?
So it's not 100% consistent because I think in Korean, Quant Blitz and Quattro Blitz are in that name order, so their family name is last. But generally speaking, last names come first, and when we see characters with three names, it seems like the father's name is first and the mother's name is last. And I mostly go with this off of the fact that we have family names when they're from two great families at the front and end of the name, and the given name in the middle. And also the big one being Kun Aguero Agnes, where we know that Kun's father is Kun Edwan, and we know that Kun's mother is Agnes. So we have Kun Aguero Agnes as his
I did
full
not
name.
pick that up.
So you would think somebody like Pobedao Liborik Kun would mean that his father was Pobedao and his mother was Kun.
Same for Mate, right? They introduced him as Popadal Mate Ha.
And
Yeah.
then that also fits with Juviole Grace because we have Grace Mircea Luzlek and Grace Arlen with the family name Grace, but then we have Juviole Grace where the 3rd name, his mother's name, would be Grace.
Ron, my best kind of like guess is that Loose Leg just took the name after he passed because he respected him and looked up to him and went with him, and then that's why Bam had that similar name like Juviole Grace under FUG. I'm not sure. Obviously, you could be onto something, but I'm the guy who keeps it simple.
I hear you.
More often than
That's
not. I'm not the best theory crafter, but I do want to
There's a
hop
lot
in.
we could go into.
Yeah. I do want to hop into some of the fights that we've seen recently. So Bam and Ren and Dorsey, Lilial and Dorothy, Yuri and Tiara, classic. Jam Jam versus Mate and stuff. Like I thought all of these return fights were really good. I want to start off with just praising the Bam and Ren fight because I liked it a lot. I thought Bam was really starting to showcase his experience and wisdom in combat during that. So when he like used I think it was called the life leech or something and like took his arm, and he's like, no, my arm's not gone. Like I could still feel it, and like being able to discern that Ren was bad at hand-to-hand combat, physical combat. Like, damn, you suck at fighting, bro. Like, I thought that
Yeah.
whole sequence was good because what it kind of reminds me of is, and I don't mind when this happens. I always say in East Blue for One Piece, I don't think Luffy was weaker than anybody he fought except Smoker for the time, right? But there was always something he had to overcome. Fighting his first Devil Fruit user, if you will, with Buggy. The military might in the ocean when fighting Don Krieg. The fishman physiology of Arlong. You know what I'm saying? The speed and the cat claws of Captain Kuro. This looked like one of those fights where like I knew Bam was stronger, but I knew Ren was gonna like have some freaky ability, and I thought that was a really good showcase. I was very impressed by that. And shout out to my mosquito. I know he's a dragonfly, but mosquito. Zam zam. I thought those were really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were all really good. I do think that I have a bit of disappointment with just one of them, which is Endorsi and Lilial,
Okay.
because one thing that I praise SIU for is that he's gotten a little bit farther away from immediately ending fight. Like I feel like if you look at like Last Station or even before then, there've been a lot of fights that are kind of teased and they maybe clash once and then something happens and we never see the result of it.
Yeah.
And he's done that less and less. And I really, even with like Luzlek and Yurik, we had like 2 entire chapters of the fight. Like that's more than enough. I didn't expect one to kill the other. But when it came to Endorsi and Lilial, they clashed, and they did a couple things, but then the fight was cut off. And I really was looking forward to seeing, okay, let's actually see how they stack up against each other. What does Lilial have up her sleeve, and how much has Endorsi been trained? What new things does she have? And it was another example of like learning information. So we're going to stop the fight in the middle of the chapter to go do something else. So with the exception of that fight, I think every other fight has been really, really great. The art has been awesome. The choreography, even Bomb and Serpent Master, it's shorter, but I think the choreography was really good.
But even in that, he
it's been
was
great.
like these snakes are kind of like weird and slippery, and he pulled down
Right.
and like he was using his brain. That's like, and I was getting to see it. That's the thing that I like the most about it. Like that was a good one too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say that I like the logical back and forth of the Bomb and Ren fight, where Bomb does this so he has an advantage, then Ren does something to have an advantage, and it was an actual back and forth that made sense choreography wise, using Ren's creatures, using both of their Shinsu attacks, using their hand to hand combat. It all made sense, and then Bomb busting out like the red and blue Thrissa transformation. And while like I'll agree with Joe that the Andrasi and what was it,
Lilial.
Lilial stuff was kind of light. I do think that that's okay because to me that was just kind of leftovers after what was Andrasi, Hema Slime, and
Mm-hmm.
Dravi in the group fight against Lilial and the Serpent Master, which I thought was really good actually, where
Yeah.
we have
That
like
segment was great.
Dravi going in with the sword and then Hema Slime like wrapping up the snakes and then slamming them to the side, and then the like physical back and forth, like the combo from Lilial and Hema Slime trying to like parry her attacks and getting hit, and then finishing it with Hema Slime acting like she's running away, going up the stairs, going into a trap by Andrasi to use the
Chiffon
Chiffon
sword.
sword. Like all of that, I thought was like really good.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good, great points. The Bomb and Ren fight felt like a showcase fight, like how you have like in the UFC or you have in boxing, where it's like they'll be like, "Oh, this is so and so showcase fights," where you can get to see like how good they really are.
Yeah.
This other opponent's not really going to challenge them per se, but it'll put up enough of a fight so that you can see what makes this individual special, and that's what it felt like. It felt like we were able to really see Bomb shine and like stretch that combat muscle and to tap into things that we rarely get to see him use. Because usually it's like he does one thing in a fight and he use that one thing, and then the next fight he'll use something else. And it was like no, he's like ebbing and flowing through different techniques and using them. And it's like this feels like watching this young irregular come into his power, and like it's like a sneak peek of like what he could look like when he's super juiced, let's
Yeah.
say like further along in the series.
Yeah.
The Yuri and Tiara fight, I feel like is the one that I think I might like the most out of all of them.
That's the correct answer.
it's the tiara discovery,
Yeah.
and it's like, what is she doing? And it's like, oh snap, and it's like, oh snap, that's kind of crazy. That's very unique. And then it's just like, oh wait, this chick's kind of out of her mind.
Yeah.
Holy hell, she's willing to do anything.
I love
And
it.
it's just the discovery of that fight, and then watching someone that we know
Mm.
that is powerful, like throw her own like unga bunga brain of how she fights against her. And it was just like it made for a beautiful dance. I really enjoyed it.
It was good. And Tiara won.
Yeah.
It was first time we've ever seen Yuri bleed. I don't know. It was
Yes.
cool.
Second.
Really cool.
Second. The
Really?
red Thressa in the Floor of Death was able to cut her with Helljo. I think she got one cheek slash. I think so. I think I remember that. I'm gonna check actually. You might be right. Let me check.
That's a
okay.
good one to
I'll
look
check.
I'll
up.
take
Yeah.
your word for it. I don't remember that. But I'll take your
Yeah.
word for it.
I think so. Cause I'm like, cause I remember I'm like, yo, she don't be bleeding, you know, like. Tiara.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna look for you, but all right. Now, this I knew was gonna be a tease, and I was okay with it, right? The family heads clash. Now this was awesome. By the way, I just want to say that I personally believe that Holland is a little bit of a disappointment. My tongue is hot. I'm like, what is
Oh,
this?
yeah, definitely.
But I'll just say that. But when he was like gonna rip his tongue out, and he realized Gustang was like really there, and he pulled up, said, "All the dust on this floor belongs to me or on my home turf." And then Gustang, I'm like Blades. I was like, "Oh my god, stop!" But I waited years for this. I deserve this. Like I couldn't wait. Did you guys enjoy the clash? Like what do you guys think about the clash? Like with Vanquish, the Blades, him taking all the other people's animal and then like souping them up and all of that stuff. Like how do we feel about that? And then the second part of this, I want to know how you felt about Aguero being the one that stopped it.
Blue balls. This whole thing was blue balls. It was, and watching it unfold, it felt like it was like, okay, it's their time now. And it was like, it felt like they just came in, interrupted the whole flow of everything. It was just like, no, this is what we're going to do. And it was just, I'm losing words, but it was great. It was great. And as far as like Aguero stopping it, I'm like half and half, because when it was happening, I'm like, oh snap, is this actually happening? I don't know if I like it. Do I like it? I don't know. And then it kind of like starts to like unravel a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know. I still don't think I know how I feel about it. I still don't know. And I'm still like up in the air. I need to see what happens at the Sprout, because at the end of the day, that will be like the end result.
Sorry.
You're good.
Every time I try to talk, I was like, dang it, I'm interrupting him every time.
You're good,
The
you're good,
Discord
you're good,
delay
you're
is
good. I'm
killing
battling.
me. But I think I might be in the minority where I hate Gastang using flames all the time. I'm like, that is so generic. We already have the Yeon family that has flames. Let him do something else that's cool. Like, the blades are cool. Let him summon stuff like that. Let him go, like, what is it, like Gates of Babylon, Gilgamesh, like, pull out all the blades. That's cool. But I'm just like, the flames, not as big a fan. I like that we did get confirmation that Traumaray controls the family heads or the branch heads creatures because they are his creatures. So I do like that. But, and then bringing out Vanquish I actually think was good, because then it hypes it up more when Dumas takes it out later, because then we're like, oh, he pulled that out against Gustang, and then Dumas took it out. So that just hypes up Dumas even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I'll say about Gustang is, even though, yeah, it's a little generic with all the flames and stuff, even if every panel with it is gorgeous, obviously, but I can see how it gets repetitive. What I do enjoy is how it's tied into his cigarette almost always.
He flicks it and
Yeah.
boom! I'm like, ah!
That's cool.
Licking
That's
his
cool.
ashes.
Yeah. So in that perspective, I kind of separate a bit from the Yon, later on what we'll see from the Yon family, presumably. But yeah, and I think too, that fight was sick. I think the highlight of Traumaray and Gusting was when all the beasts were taken out, and I was like, see, I always knew the animal thing, it's just a shtick, it's not. But then he puts them back together and like fuses them together, and it's like the perfect showcase of what he's all about, is like mixing and matching and trying out new combinations of creatures to see what happens. And his whole DNA chair and everything. that moment I think was the highlight for me.
I'm under the belief that he can turn any part of his body, partially or fully, into any creature, mythology wise, any divine sea creature in this. Like if he wanted to just like turn his like arm into like a turtle shell that can block something, I'm not basing this off of anything. It's pure headcanon, but I just believe that. I don't know if anyone
Is
else
it based on the weird ear horn things in the Name Hunt Station?
Yeah. Because when we first saw him, he kind of had the tail and stuff. I know we kind of redesigned it, but like I just kind of like, I feel like he can do that too. Like, I don't think he's physically weak and he can only fight with animal. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make, because people were asking me that at one point when it happened. Like, do you think he can fight? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm adopting that headcanon now.
All right.
I like the way he uses the harpes, kind of like a spear bearer would use spears. Like he uses the hairtail fandor or harpe as like weapons.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Because was that Nenea? No, wait, no. When did he have that spear? When he pulled up on her? I have to look at that again.
It was Ninem when he had the spear.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That was he's strong, man. But that clash was exciting. I just personally didn't like that Aguero stopped it. I knew it wasn't gonna go all the way. I knew like they were gonna set up for like their final battle later. But I didn't love that Aguero stopped it. I guess he made a good suggestion, and Gustang probably saw something in there that he liked. What I just want to point this out. This is a nitpick. I'm really not mad at this. I just laughed, but I don't know if you guys noticed when they were fighting, most of the characters were like bracing themselves because like, oh my god, there's so much power. Aguero just walked right up to them. I'm like, Bam is protecting himself. Who do you think you are? If there was one person who could be standing there normally, it would have been Bam, in my opinion. I just thought it was a funny optics. That's all. That's all I want to point that out. I just want to point.
I literally misread. I just read those chapters of Amy, and I thought that was happening. I was like, "Look at Kuhn getting blown away," and she was like, "No, that's actually a bomb." I was like, "Huh?" Like, I missed on that panel all this time.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Kuhn being the one to stop it. Not a big fan of that, but I kind of give it a pass since I get the reasoning, because Traumery didn't want to fight anyway. Like, Gustang was in his home. He didn't want to fight. He doesn't want this war to begin with. And Gustang wanted to lure Traumery to the Sprout. So it's like, I get it. I get the reasoning behind it. It's just Kuhn being the one to do it still just has me like, eh.
Yeah, I kind of feel it. My chat was very upset with that. Like, they're like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Listen, I get it, but y'all know we weren't gonna get the whole fight yet." I mean, at least I thought that, so I wasn't like mad about it. But I was just like, I don't know about that one, but hey, it is what it is, though. But it was hype, and I can't wait for them to actually go at it. I'm going with Pobedao, but
let's go.
All right. So with all these different agendas and betrayals and everything, like who's on what? Like it's kind of crazy, like. We're on so many different sides, and I know I told you guys I thought Keaton was on Fraud Watch, but I want your opinion on Keaton so far. But we don't have to go too deep into this one, because I do think we kind of touched on it. But just in terms of like the Lopabia family being so splintered in comparison to the Pobedao, because like Pobedao's not fully united, but they're more united. And I've argued a lot of the times, Traumeray's aloof nature, him being a recluse and not really caring about anything, is probably starting to slowly grate on his family. Well, Gustang seems more active, and I would argue he treats his family kind of like he's the CEO of a company. That's just kind of like the example that I use. Like, he's not like father, but it's like, you do a good job, you get rewarded properly, or I won't scold you or reprimand you, but I will talk and engage with the people around me. I'm not just gonna hide in a room. Like, what's your guys' take on that?
I agree. I think, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people didn't know if Traumery was even alive or not, because he's been inactive for so long. And to leave Keating seemingly in charge of the family, one, gives him like that mindset of, this guy's never around anyways, and two, it's like, well, who do we talk to? Like, who do we report to when Traumery starts to show back up again? It, like, he's the family leader, yes, but for X amount of time it's been Keating. So what do we do? And I do like agree, like it grates on everyone where it's like, okay, he just shows back up now, and now we just do what he says and all this, and then who knows, he could disappear for an eon or whatever, however long he feels like it. And granted, man's probably traumatized beyond belief from whatever happened, but I think that is
throwing away memories like he's in Castle Oblivion.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that's it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the best use of Keaton would be hi- again, it's an example of a fight that was cut off that I'm okay with it as long as we hopefully get more. I hope we get more, which is Robodon or Lobodon in Keating,
Mhm.
because they truly do represent like Robodon was always out fighting. He's the field commander. He's always the one who's out doing the dirty work. While Keating, uh, Laura even calls him like the true leader of the Lopobia family all these years. And it'd be cool if like these two, who are both the oldest sons of Lopobia, end up having this grand, huge clash against each other. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I think it'd be sick, and it'd be a cool way to show how strong Keating is, but maybe still be defeated by Robodon because we've already hyped up Robodon. So even if it's a close match, it wouldn't be disappointing if Keating loses to Robodon. If you know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Okay. Just a side note, opinions on Laura? I I I I I, I like her actually. I have no problem with her. She triggered El Bozo Albaba.
Oh,
She triggered him. I said
Dude.
that punch was unhinged. You were on tilt. That was unhinged.
yes.
But this is such a small random detail. I just love the suspendium in her hair, keeping it up. I don't know what it is. It just moves me.
too.
I love
I
it.
do too.
I just love it.
I love it too. I love how Siu draws her like mouth shape with like the cat-shaped mouth too. I think that's really cute.
Yeah.
But I really like Laura as a character.
Okay, so just
Yeah,
just
I think
curious.
she's one of the biggest examples of like a switch going from like a here she is again, or oh here we go again with Laura, to being like, oh wait a minute, like she actually, there's a reason she has this like, she's the daughter of Robodon that carries weight and she has experience. It's really cool.
I
Absolutely.
feel like the way I feel about Laura, and it's like she kind of feels like a breath of fresh air when she shows up. I wish I felt that about Lilio and Chilio. Like I wish I had like
Mhm.
a different feeling than what I feel like when they show up. They kind of annoy me, and it's
I
like
was-
for whatever reason,
Lilia,
little
I think is
things-
annoying. Shilia,
Yeah,
I don't think
was
is
like
that
going
annoying.
to
Chilio
say-
hasn't. Yeah, she hasn't been around enough to be annoying, but Lily, I'm just like, oh, brother. And then she'll have a moment. I'm like, okay, but it's like I wish I had the same feeling for them like I do with her.
Yeah, I was going to say that Laura kind of does the thing of every time a person from that family shows up, they're better than Lilial. They go above Lilial in that family's ranking.
Uh-huh.
I do think I wanted more from Shilial, but I like what we've gotten so far with her like forcing Lilial to side with Bomb basically. And then beyond that, when she's like, okay, then forcing Kuhn to side with her, where she's like, if you side with me, I'll tell you what Marie is doing, and Kuhn
Yeah.
just flips her
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
Flips her off. That's an underrated scene, I think.
it is. Because like she showed that she's kind of like the leader of the sisters in that sense. Like, because
Yep.
like I'm much more level headed than you are. So I'm like, all right, that's dope. I like that.
She called Shilio out on her BS.
Yeah, because
Where she's like, "You're not making sense. Be
Super
quiet."
entitled princess. Like,
People
being-
want to
That
complain
slap
about
is one of the
Rachel,
best panels.
but
of the
I feel
season.
like Lilial is like the worst, like maybe morally
Mine's-
or like socially
Oh,
character we've had in Tower of God. Because like Rachel has betrayed some people, but she usually feels like she has a goal to it. Lilial is just straight up throwing her allies into the Serpent Master.
oh,
and
when
doing
she
it on
yeet,
the
oh,
end.
Yeah.
do you remember
Yeah.
me? We were in kindergarten.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
would you just
Yeah.
yeet her into? Oh,
Yeah.
you're
Lily-
diabolical. Oh my god.
And even just socially, anytime that Bomb or Andrasi or anyone tries to talk to her, she's just a jerk to everyone.
Even Trauma Ray's like, yo, what? Like, it's like Trauma Ray's there. He's like, family leader. I don't want to marry this fucking loser. I'm like, yo, calm down.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's all good stuff. That's all good stuff. Okay, I actually, sorry, I didn't proofread this, so that's my fault. But I just wanted to know if anyone wanted or expected a bigger role for Elaine, considering her father was involved and Bam ended up taking her out, name dropping Elaine and things of that nature. Like, I know she doesn't have necessarily the power to do something, but even to see her father and be like, yo, like, I reject this family or something. I'm just curious if anyone thought that she maybe
Uh-huh.
needed a bigger role here or a role at all.
I definitely think she always. I mean, I felt the same way when she was even technically there during the nest.
I
You
agree,
know,
I agree.
at first I was excited. Oh, she's heading into the nest, and she just, I don't know, Hockney had 99% of the dialogue in every scene they were in, and and the and the one time she did say something, I remember people being a little, it was kind of controversial, but anyway, when it comes to her dad and that whole thing, I mean, I'll take it because it's at least something, is the way I'm saying it,
Agreed.
or thinking about it. It's like it's development in some way for the Elaine storyline, even if she's not there. So I'll absolutely take it. I think it's great. And the fact that he's still alive gives me hope that there will be eventually some kind of confrontation. We had a great confrontation. Bomb stood up for her, and had that great moment. I still think we need Elaine herself to be the one to stand up for herself too. I don't know if I'm coping. I don't know, but the fact that we even got this gives me hope that we'll get it at some point.
Okay.
I think that we absolutely should have gotten Elaine, Anak, and Hockney. I think that when Andrasi came back, Anak should have absolutely 100% come back too.
I
I
miss my
think that
lizard.
she needs to do something in the story. She like desperately needs a role, and
Yeah.
you could have even tied it back in with the Lopobia because when we see Traumaray sometimes, and especially when we see him in the flashback recently without the mask on, his eyes, instead of being just the regular round eyes, are the circle with the diagonal line through them, like Anak and her mother's. So we could have tied her into that stuff. And I think that maybe after the Cat Tower stuff, maybe you have them go with Cha to meet up with Bomb, and then they end up wrapped into the hotel stuff. I think that after spending the time skip with them and after their introductions and backstories and how much attention they both got, I feel like much like Kuhn and Rack, Elaine and Hockney should have been wrapped into Bomb's main team. Especially with the two of them added in, then you have the five basic positions that we were introduced to at the start of the series, with Bomb as wave controller, Hockney as scout, Elaine as fisherman, Rack being the spear bearer, and Kuhn as light bearer.
That makes sense to me. Ron?
I think if not now, then when do we get her? It feels like it was like the perfect moment because she wouldn't have felt out of place because there was a ton of other individuals that she knew. It felt like this could have been like the more comfortable moment if she needed the support possibly.
Hmm.
Not that I necessarily wanted her to like lean on people for this, but if she needed that support, she could have had it. And it's just like it's like it was a good moment, but I wish it could have been a lot more.
Yeah. Because Elaine's one of my favorite characters, so like I have a personal investment in it, but so I just want a bit more. But it is what it is. You take what you
Yeah.
can take. Like Joe said, ultimately, El Baba did address to like it's her fault. I fell from like it was addressed. She was involved, but she just wasn't really there, like in like presently. So
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. Now, I want to get into this just a little bit before we kind of hop into some great stuff. But I just wanted to know if you thought that like with the fast pass, people who were like me, who were like scan raws, and then like just people like Korea being kind of 3 months ahead because we took a while to get it translated here. Do you think it's made like TOG discourse in the community hard or nearly impossible? Like, I'm just curious because something I asked my audience at one point because I'm like, I feel bad because like everyone's all over the place and like I'm the type like I can't wait. If it's there, I gotta read it. I know other people have their reasons. I'm not trying to, what I'm saying, but I'm just curious if you thought that it just made talking about it just a little bit more difficult because I remember when I was just doing it normally and I think they were only 4 weeks ahead, and one of the main reasons I don't know if I told you guys this that I started to just read it is because my audience would just spoil me but act like it's a prediction. So let's say
Oh.
like
Yep.
Loose Lake and Mazina were fighting. They'd be like, "How would you feel if like Loose Lake had like some type of plant spell that couldn't like you
Oh, that's
asshole
tough.
like
Yeah.
that's not a prediction. You read it." so
That
so I
happens
got
so
fed
much
up. I said, "Oh,
towards
you
the
know
end of
what? Y'all
season
about to
two.
spoil me again." So just your thoughts in general on that.
I think that it hasn't been as rough as I thought it would be. I don't really get spoiled very often, at least not on anything big.
Hmm.
And I talk a lot with people, in the community around my channel that do read ahead, and it's been kind of fine. but I still think it's a massive, massive problem being that far ahead. 3 or 4 chapters is something,
Yeah,
and I
but
just think
3 months is 12 chapters is crazy.
12 chapters is crazy.
I think it's just such a big failing on Webtoons' part because from a business standpoint, you got to feel like you're leaving money on the table because even if you pay for FastPass, you're still going to be so far behind because right now the official Korean because occasionally I'll look at the Korean chapters just to like compare translation stuff and even just the official Korean chapters are like what 5 6 chapters ahead. So we're not even caught up to official release Korean, let alone like fast pass Korean.
Mhm.
So I think that just becomes a massive problem.
Yeah, it's a big issue. I agree that like it's better than I thought it would be. I was worried that like everywhere I looked there'd be spoilers and like every time I see a prediction, I'm always like that better in my chat. That better be a prediction. I'm very careful with reading chat every time I go live. And but you know it is obviously a massive issue, and I think that the sad part is it's been how a year over a year I forget exactly at least a year since we've returned and it hasn't been resolved in any way and I think that just means this is what we have to live with so I've gotten used to it but it's definitely a huge issue because yeah it's one thing to be a month behind but 3 months is a very long time when you're in a community like this or just in general it's a very long time.
It makes it tough because Mark is like me in a way where like he's not like he ordering Mark was like listen I'll spoil somebody let me just wait I'm like all right I understand I understand like I took such special precautions like I literally went like this is the latest chapter I read everything above it then below it and I said don't mention none of that and then I took extra steps because I know I could be that way so okay I was just kind of curious I don't know if you wanted to, Ron I don't remember if you said anything. By the way, Joe, I found the panel. I'm gonna send it to you. Just give me a sec.
Oh, okay, good. Because I'm spreading misinfo. I keep telling people it's the first time. I'll make an apology on Sunday.
Yeah,
I'll just put it
I
in
co-sign
the
what everyone
family
says.
heads chat. I'll just put it in here, I guess.
All right, cool.
But I found it.
All right, cool. Thanks.
And the chapter. Go ahead, Ron. My bad.
Sweet.
Oh, you're good. I co-sign what Haku and Joe both said. It hasn't been as bad as I kind of thought it was going to be whenever I first realized how far behind Webtoon was. Hasn't been that bad, but still, it feels like there's not. It feels like there isn't like the larger community that everyone can come together. It's like we have to do it in pockets, and we have to like take precaution before we talk to each other. It's not like we could just pop in and be like, "Yo," and it's like you could do that with some people, but not with everyone. And I feel like that kind of sucks because that kind of community can just foster just better discussions and better feelings about what we're all like consuming every week.
Okay.
True. And to jump in on what Naya said about the translation too. So for me, like I do One Piece like how you do Tower of God. So like I'll read the scans and do a video on the scans for like patrons and stuff. And then when it comes out officially, I'll put it out for everybody so that nobody gets spoiled from it. So I always watch like I'll go for whatever translation I think is better. That's why I do the scans for One Piece because I think the scans are better than the official. But I always whenever I do my reaction, I go and watch yours, Naya, and I don't know how you do it because for all the criticisms, for all the complaints I have about the actual official translation, man, the scans are rough. They are abysmal.
These are some hood scans sometimes because back when we had void scans, they were good. Like I'm like I actually like I remember when I first heard Houndborn, I'm like that is so much better than K9 Person in my opinion. That sounds way better. Just
sick.
like to me, but like nah, these newer ones with Cosmic or whatever, I'm like bro. Is this English? Like you see me struggling to read because there's so much grammatical errors, and I'm like, wait, like what?
I just don't know how you do it, man.
You know what it is? I have a lot of people in my audience who aren't native English speakers, not their first language. And when I tell you I have to decipher what it is they're trying to type, I have to decipher it. Like I'm like, oh, you meant this. Okay. Oh, that's okay. You spelled Enkidu so wrong, but you meant Enkidu. Okay, all right. Like I got it. Like but you're right. Like I'll be struggling. I'm like, what is this? What does this mean? I do feel like we spoke about Hugo, Lobodan, and Dumas already, but I don't. If you guys wanted to chime in on anything extra with them, we can do that, or we can go straight to what we think Rachel could be up to or cooking up.
I don't know. I mean, again, this is where it gets rough because you and so many other people probably are like 3 months ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
But at least for where we are officially with Lobanon, I think it's. I kind of want to see what he can actually do because so far, he's basically just one shot two of the book club, two of Gustang's main people, main high rankers, and we haven't actually seen what he can actually do. He's just one shot two people, and that's pretty much it.
And people that were kind of we're assuming he was already stronger than too. I do want to give a shout out to Catan with the guns. I was like, oh, finally somebody with some that's so funny because no matter what channel I go to, they're like, oh, he American. I'm like, why you gotta why you gotta be American because you got guns? This is funny because like. They're like, because someone was like, "Oh, he's from your land, America." I'm like, you guys keep forgetting I'm from Toronto. I'm not from America. I'm Canadian, bro. But yeah, I think. Sorry, just real quick. I always think Tower God is kind of at its most intriguing when Rachel is involved. So I always love when she's there, even though I'm not like a Rachel stan. I'm indifferent at this point. I'm in the middle. I'm not a hater anymore, but I just think she adds. I don't think Tower God is as good without Rachel. But go ahead.
You just made me think of about Rachel's stuff. Just fastest thing. I like Hugo because she has like the whole like, oh, I'm into fashion, I'm into like these fancy items, but that's not like her entire character. Like she's really well respected by her troops, and she loves fighting, and like
she didn't want to let them die. Like she was showing out
genuinely.
For them. Yeah.
It was like a mixture of like, I'm gonna protect my army, but I also genuinely want to fight this guy. Like it was a cool mixture of the two. And when it comes to Rachel, yeah, I saw a post like a couple weeks ago on the Tower of God subreddit. And it was saying the opposite. It was saying like Rachel in the story right now, I'm not feeling it. It feels like she's a complete waste of a character. And it got me thinking. I was like, what is SIU's plan for Rachel? And this newest chapter was the perfect response to that.
Yep.
Because it did two things. It established her as still a part of this this ongoing war. She has some kind of role to play, but she's still a failure. Like she's not. I don't know. Like, it was a good mixture of the two. Like she's still important to the story, but she's not her. She's not her. She's not making the play. It was a good mixture of the two. I'm really excited for the Rachel stuff now.
So a question that I've gotten a lot this week that I'd be interested in knowing all three of your thoughts on is people have kept asking me about like what Gustang said towards the end, or what Waryun said to Gustang about her not being strong, but her being like, I don't forget, or I don't remember the actual
worthy. I think it's worthy.
Like worthy. And to me, what it got me thinking is I actually think that Rachel and Bomb may have entered the tower on a completely even playing field. Like they could have entered, because Bomb didn't have any special powers at the very beginning. I think they could have entered, and I think the one moment that could be the differing factor between Rachel and Bomb as characters could be the very beginning of the series, because the very beginning of the series,
the steel
they
field,
both come into the tower.
Eels.
Yeah, and we have the white steel eel. Rachel says, "This is this is too tough a challenge. I can't do this." And Bomb rushes in. And if Bomb hadn't rushed in, he doesn't meet Yuri. And because he rushed in, he does meet Yuri. He gets the Black March. Then, because Rachel hangs back during the tests and pretends she's injured, while Bomb, again, then goes off with FUG. And while Rachel's pretending she's injured for 6 years, Bomb is getting the Blue Thrissa and training under Jin Sung and Yuan Sung. From there, she's still pretending to be injured while he goes into the workshop battle and gets the Thorn. Then he spends that next time skip learning all these different martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
Then going through the Hell Train, he's challenged to the highest level against Joaquin, then Elaine,
then Guardians, Rice Pot stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, then he gets Shinwan Ryu, and he's challenged at the highest level against Data Zahard. And so I think the big difference between them might have been the very beginning, where Bomb has gone up the tower and trained and got all these new abilities, where Rachel maybe had that same ability to do all that. Maybe she had that same potential, but Rachel has just not lived up to the potential that Bomb has lived up to.
That's
To
interesting.
That is
to
an
that
interesting
point, I
point of
mean,
view.
in Dorsey, the first thing she says is that Rachel has this aura about her when she's like on her team during the crown game and such. She
Mhm.
Because
immediately notices something about her.
we know that Rachel isn't completely powerless, and the reason we know that is because she's just up and walking around. Remember, on the second floor, Ledoro like crushes this dude with Shinsu, and he's like, "This is a normal amount of Shinsu that you'll be living on the 30th floor." So we're up in the 40s, and Rachel's walking around just fine. So we know that she's perfectly fine, just like Bomb was passing through Shinsu.
You know, that's
That's
pretty
something I
interesting.
never thought about.
Yeah, cause like I've always just thought Rachel was like just weak, but you might be right because she doesn't apply herself and train and stuff. So you pose the question like she might have a regular level potential. She's just not living up to it because her own mind doesn't allow her to because she's too afraid to do certain things and she rather scheme and manipulate than just kind of run through the brick wall, so to speak. I like that. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, me either.
That's a video idea.
Put me on game.
I'll give you credit, don't worry, but that's a video idea. That's a video idea.
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, we could.
I still childishly hold on to my hatred of Rachel to the point that I
you
don't
part of
call her
art,
Rachel.
the anti Rachel task force with Sunwoo. Part of art.
Yeah, I still hold on to it. I call her redacted. I can't even bring myself to call.
It's okay.
say
I
her
call
name
Doan
sometimes.
moron. I never refer her by her name. Go ahead.
But I can't even when she was introduced back into the series recently. I'm just like, okay, so it's clear that she's important because she's still here. Because if she wasn't, I feel like CU would have up and gotten rid of her. So it's like, what can she contribute to the story? And her having like the Fitbit and possibly, are we gonna say that she's gonna get like a skip past a lot of the training that Bomb went through, like in early season 2, to not be equal to him, but at least be a little bit more powerful now that she has this access to Shinwan Ryu artificially? Like, is that going to be something that maybe opens her eyes and changes her, or will she still just keep that same mindset that she always does and kind of just rely on this little watch without doing anything else? So it's like, I don't know. It's like right now I'm kind of confused on how to feel about her because she could throw a monkey wrench into everything.
It's interesting. It feels like Gaston is trying to maybe even turn her into something like that. Like, if he's trying to make her a vessel for Enkidu, it seems like he's almost pushing her towards it. And that reminds me of something that Gaston said. I think it may have been when he was talking to Traumeré. I don't think it was when he was talking to Kuhn at the beginning of the post hiatus. I think it's when he was talking to Traumeré. When Traumeré said, "Why now? Why are you doing all of this now?" And he says, "I had a revelation at the floor of death." So to
Yes.
me, what that makes me think, I think there's two possibilities. Either the possibility, because we know that the 10 family heads already knew an irregular came in. We know that from Workshop Battle, he knew about Juvial Grace. So either the revelation was that he knew an irregular came in, but he didn't know Juvial Grace was Arlen and V's kid, and that's what the revelation was. Or the revelation is that he met Rachel, that he learned that there was a second irregular, and if Rachel is related to this Arlen and Icarus stuff because she has this knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe Gaston recognized something in her, and that was the revelation he had, because he goes on from then to give the Stingray to Rachel, and that pays off for him because the Stingray brings him back a piece of the key to the top of the tower and the Fitbit, and then he continues to use Rachel from there.
Maybe he saw something in her that she didn't even see in herself. That's a good point. I like that. That makes sense to me, all things considered. But yeah, Rachel, again, I think the story, I think the first Tower of God series I said was like, I made like 5 years ago was like, Tower of God is just not Tower of God without Rachel, because like, what's the most iconic scene? It's the push.
Yeah.
Right, and everyone remembers where they were when they saw it or read it. I even remember I watched a compilation of like different people reacting to the push, and everyone was like, "What the hell?" I'm like, yeah. Everyone same reaction. It's not. I didn't.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, I didn't even fully trust Michelle Light at the time. Like, I didn't even really trust her. I was like, Ashi still
Oh.
get me. So, with that being said, though, it's time for the main event.
Sir.
Oh my god, bro, I'm so excited. So, Loose Leg versus Mazino happened, and we'll get into the other part after. But like, how do we feel about like this? To me, was like a better version of what we got with Trauma and Gustang because I like how it ended, where he used that like was it like white noise or white space. What I don't know what they called it in the officials when he said it, but like for a minute you can't act, and he left. I'm like, okay, that was a good way to leave. And when they
Yeah.
were kind of asking him like, could you win? Like he's like, honestly, there's like a lot of things that I could have done that I think could have been a win condition, but I just don't know how vast that power goes. And I felt like, so this is what I want to ask you guys: why did Loose Leg really step to Mazzino? And this is not his first time meeting him. And people were asking me, do you guys think that they tried to recruit Mazzino into FUG as a Slayer prior to BAM? Because they did a regular, like, there was just so many moving parts to this. But first of all, I just want everyone's general opinion on the clash. Like, how awesome the Fist of the Gorgons, Gorgon Fist. Stop playing with me, bro. That shit was so raw.
The move you mentioned was called Bright Charge in the official.
Okay, Bright Charge, interesting. Okay.
And the opposite of it was Dark Charge, what he was using at the start of the fight.
Okay, when he went into his like darkness mode thing. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Which I know some people weren't a big fan of that translation. I forget what the other translations I've heard are, but yeah.
Oh, let me just look. I'll just look real quick while you guys are talking. But
I do think, like what you said, they probably did try to recruit him because we saw that Jin Sung tried to recruit Calavan because he had rule-breaking powers. So if they're trying to recruit people that have rule-breaking powers to potentially be a Slayer, you gotta think they'd go for an irregular.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I also think it was incredibly cool. I think it's the best big fight we've seen so far. I like as far as powers getting as big as they can get in the tower. I think the biggest we had seen before that is maybe full power White versus full power Calavan, or potentially the Yama
Dark Twist, by
Yasuacho
the way.
versus
Dark Twist.
Traumaray stuff.
Ah,
But it's huger to me to see those two clash than to see the two family heads. Because we don't know Traumaray's rank. We know that Gustang is rank 14, but we just saw rank 15 fight against rank 4.
And
That
Bright
was
Shift.
insane.
Sorry, go ahead. Bright Shift was the other one.
No, I was done with that point.
Oh,
You're
okay.
good.
yeah. I mean, I agree. The fight was really good, and like I said, the ending was great. It's a perfect sort of like we saw enough of the fight, and the cutaway makes sense. Like I think we were all expecting it, and it worked really well. The ending where they're it leaves it up in the air about who's stronger, and I think the strength of that is that it's not just the family heads who are at the top. Like we said earlier, it really could be these other people who, whether they're like the children of irregulars or like tower-born individuals. And I think that alone is like really exciting. I also like the the element of Jin Sung and Kel Halam and Garnak just like I don't know, like the comment. I guess it would
The
be
peanut
comedy, right?
gallery
The comedy
commentary.
aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believed in you all along, sir.
Yeah, like that was great. Even the moment where Luzlek's ultimate technique fails, it was a great like I don't know. It was so well done. And one of my comments mentioned this where Luzlek feels kind of like an anti-family head in a way because he has the potentially or seemingly the power of a family head, and he's been around just as long as they have, and yet he's aloof. Like, and people call Gusting the aloof wave, but he's like super. He's like fun with the people who are under him. They can crack jokes with him, and there's no like threat of being incinerated or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like he's very lazy. He's always smiling, and it feels like he doesn't take life too seriously. And we've never, to be fair, we've only seen two, but we've never seen that from a family head or someone like that. And I think that's really interesting.
To piggyback off of that,
personality.
Yeah.
To piggyback off that, we know that Jihad, and V were like rivals at odds, and people favored V more than they favored Jihad. So it kind of makes sense that Mershea would have the qualities that would make his subordinates actually care for him if V was the thing that he looked up to, and he kind of adapted what V had and what made people love him. It kind of like trickles down, and you can see the same thing with how he interacts with them. So that could be like some connective tissue with that.
Yeah, I have a few questions I want to ask you guys about this because I remember I was deep in my bag when this fight was happening. I made like a million videos about this fight, like more than I needed to, honestly. But my first big takeaway, and this might sound stupid. I always say this is stupid. Spells are busted.
Yes.
I don't think I really realized how hack spells were. Like, they're OP. That was one of my takeaway. I don't know what they said there, but like the Ghost Orchard, the Goblin Thistle, like you said earlier, Joe, like him not expecting, like you see a flower that freaky, like grow out of nowhere, you probably step back and be like, what's going on? Mazino's like, ew, it's ugly. Break. And he's like, huh?
Guarantee that's never happened to Leslie.
Yurik left us more confused too, because Yurik like, yes, spells work because of the incomplete part of this world, and it's like, what?
Like, what are you talking about?
Explain further, Yurik.
Right? No, absolutely. And this was my takeaway with Mazzino, where I'm like, okay, I think one of these are a stretch, and this is me kind of rationalizing a little bit, but I believe that he is probably, at least in terms of just physical Shinsu control and boosting and enhancement, he's boasted the best control we've seen so far. Because it seems like he's one of those characters that can perfectly regulate his strength exactly for what he needs, to the point, I don't know if people noticed this, I don't remember the exact number, but I think he had started boosting his body to about 20-25%, but his arm specifically went to 30. So that means his like right or left arm that he used to punch was at 30, while the rest of his body was at 25%. And I'm like, that's incredible Shinsu control. Are you guys really taking in what this man is doing? He's a monster.
Yeah.
I love
Question
it.
on that. Whenever Mershaya pissed him off, did he not put a percentage on it when he blew past him?
I think it was 15 at that point.
He did 25.
Was it
there.
15?
Or 25? I'll look.
Yeah, when he did the
'Cause I remember-
and destroyed the thistle.
Yeah, and he was like, "Stop! Like, you're pissing me off. I'm gonna kill you." I don't remember a percentage. Being
25.
anywhere
25.
Yeah,
when he said it. Okay.
25.
I think it was a really cool choice for the portrayal. I think it's when he hits 15%. Whenever he hits 15%, any panels that we have of Yurik moving after that, when he gets to 15% or higher, you see like after images and all of the panels of Yurik moving.
Yeah, it was really good. Like, he's fast. Like, and again, just showing this, and like, again, I thought that Lucelek showcased a lot of really good techniques too, from his spells to his hand-to-hand combat. I kept saying I can't believe he stepped on Mazzino's J's, and even though they were like they were like mid-air too. So I'm like, does that even work mid-air? Like, couldn't you just like step back because like there's no ground to step to put your foot on? But whatever, it's still cool. Like, just like a lot of that stuff. Like, and then again, like I thought that he did I thought he did a good job with stacking the spells, because it seemed to me like whatever he was gonna use that Mazzino broke, in conjunction with the like revenge, whatever it was called, the resentment that's supposed to just keep whipping you until you're dead because you destroyed it, because you kind of blitzed through one of them. I'm like, what would have happened if he stacked that other like spell against that one? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there were just a lot. Like, to me, he did just enough where I'm like, I'm satisfied, I'm happy. You gave me a taste of everything that these characters could really do for the future. You don't have to showcase it now because obviously we're not in the end game. But I got a little bit of an idea about what everyone's about. The only thing I thought I was going to maybe see was the Black Hook. I didn't see that yet. Hopefully it's still a thing. But I don't think either of them showcased the depths of their actual, bag, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it was actually an interesting tease when the Ghost Orchid gets destroyed and he's like, that was my lethal move. Because we've seen lethal moves from a bunch of characters. Like, I think we've seen 2 lethal and 1 transcendental from Calavan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that we haven't even seen any of his lethal moves yet, let alone him busting into transcendental moves.
I also just want to add, Lucelek's bars are crazy. He called that man
he-
broke.
Oh, yeah.
Like homeless. He said, the wall hike once ribs are sweet. But aren't you the co-captain? Aren't you the co-leader? Like, aren't you the vice captain? Like, I'm like, why are you talking shit? Like, oh my God, bro.
When he's like, it feels kind of weird fighting somebody below my level. Like,
I know.
And then Something I thought was so funny, again, just going back and going through recent Hell Train chapters, when Yuri first meets back up with Bomb after Dollar Show, she's like, "Oh, you met Yurik?" And there's this panel of Bomb going, "Yeah, he posed like this and talked about babies a lot." And Bomb does the pose with his arms out, and it's the same pose that Yurik does at the end of what, chapter 600, where he's like, "Because I'm fucking strong."
Yep.
Yeah.
Same pose. I love how Bomb way back then described Yurik just
Right.
personally, or like perfectly.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a point about the spells because it feels like this was our first true example of what ranker level spells or ranker. I mean, I say ranker, one of the strongest top people in the entire tower
about
can do with
15.
spells.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like because up until this point, there have been rankers that have used spells, but to me, when I think of spell, I think of regulars that use spells to kind of ascend past their level. Like Sachi is the first kind of obvious example, but even Levy, I know I know Levy is not the most popular character to say the least.
Korean
You
Riddler
know,
over there.
Question mark.
yeah.
All questionnaire man over there.
Yep.
Mr. Question Mark. But with because Levy's using like the hair spell and the blizzard spell, it's like okay, sure. But when we see someone like Luzlek using spells, it's like a completely different playing field. So it's a great taste of what you can do with this like tower breaking ability.
And do you think that's a bit of a subset of him maybe being around like V and Arlen Grace? Like, okay, because she's kind of a spell master. At least we
Right.
assume that. So,
Yeah.
like, do you think that's how he picked
Definitely.
it up? Because he hasn't used an orb or anything, so I don't know if he has good tension. Because Bam got his father's tension, and while Bam is not a spell user, he's a de-speller, if you will. You know, if you want to
Yeah.
use Kamijo Toma
Sure.
from Index with Imagine Breaker to dispel all supernatural
Right.
phenomenon, or like Asta from Black Clover, anti-magic, like he probably inherited that from his mother. So I was wondering if maybe she had taught him a lot of spells, or him watching her a lot was the reason why he could do a lot of this stuff. And just to add to Haku's point much earlier, that all of it is flower related. And to your point, Joe, even with the spell stuff, I recall a girl really early, not necessarily, I don't remember exactly, but maybe I'm kind of misremembering, but she had like a wand that let her use spells or Shinsu
Oh.
or something. Maybe it's just an item, maybe it wasn't
They
magic.
all. Yeah.
But I think she didn't need to ask permission from the like administrator or whatever to do that. Like I probably just for some reason I just didn't realize how broken spell. I think probably because I'm usually following Bam when someone has one and it just don't work on him. So I'm just like, man, spells suck. Spells stink.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
That's true.
nope, I was wrong. They don't. They powerful. I'm trying to learn
I
some
think-
spells.
I think Luzlek being a spell user kind of fits with him having the same family name as Arlen. Like, whether they're actually related or whether they're just adopted into the same family,
Mhm.
it would make sense that maybe it's a Grace family thing to be spell users. And also, Joe bringing up Levy reminded me of something I forgot earlier when I was talking about Bomb's allies being potentially as strong as rankers at this point and bringing up how, like, they're always the strongest regulars around. Back when Levy was introduced, we were introduced to all of these regulars that were working for, sponsored by the 10 families who had come down from higher floors to the last station.
I do
And
remember
even
that.
and
Wow.
even Misang was no diffing these regulars who had come down
Yep.
from higher
Yeah,
floors.
she was snuffing them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
I want to touch on the Gorgon's Fist attack because I thought, first of all, it's awesome, and I didn't think that he'd have an attack kind of related a little bit to like Greek mythology. That's kind of cool. The thing that I liked about it is I don't know if anyone else got this sentiment, and maybe I just overlooked into it. It looked like that one punch that sent all those kind of like beams towards Mazzino was very reminiscent of what Bam did to White, just sending a plethora of attacks for this guy to deflect away with his sword and his barrier. Did anyone? But he did it with like one punch. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone else got that sentiment. I just thought
Yeah, I
Mm.
actually didn't even remember that until I watched your reaction and you talked about it, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that.
I could be forcing it a bit though, but I love everything about this fight, man. The back and forth, the shit talking, the clash, how loose like left, and I guess the most important question here is, and I'm sure I want to know what you guys think. Who's Mazzino here to hunt? Who you looking for?
I think it. I go back and forth on this. The only thing I can think of might be Revolution. I don't know if that makes sense I just have a. It's just weird because okay, if he's not here for the family heads
Mhm.
and he's not here for Fug, who else is he here for? But to maybe like for some reason he wants to. I don't know if preserve is the right word. Preserve the family heads or the families. First, I don't get why. Like the thing, I don't have a good reason for it. I guess it's just a weird process of elimination. I don't know.
I was thinking, because the last motivation that we got from him, and he even came up whenever, before they started fighting, when he was like, "Why don't you just look for a way out of the tower?" And it's like we don't know how to get out of the tower, but what if he needs them alive so in order to get out of the tower?
Okay.
Like, could it be like
Uh,
some roundabout way where it's like, no, I kind of need them, so
That
they'll
and
they'll serve my purpose until
I,
then, and then they can die.
I kind of feel like so when Yurik has talked to Baum in the past, when he first met him and he didn't even know he was an irregular at the time, he talks about doesn't everything in the tower seem so simple? Don't you want a wider sky outside of the tower? And then later on, once he knows Baum is an irregular at the floor of death, he's like, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to go through with this? What if that's the way he feels towards the family heads as well? What if he doesn't want them to die until he finds the way out and gives them the option of leaving and not interfering in the tower anymore?
Mm,
That's interesting. I never even thought
yeah,
about that. I like that.
that would be the same mindset that Bomb's going through whenever he freed all of Traumeray's animals from like the aquarium, and
exactly.
he's like, "What if I have to do this for the family heads, and the tower is their aquarium?"
Which is why I
So
always thought the conversation with him and Loose like would be interesting because Loose like, all right, take him out. And he's like, no, 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 I'm not about that. He's like, huh?
yeah,
No, take him out. Cut his head off. Like, I don't know. But I
No,
think
I
that'd be
want
an
I want to see
interesting
Lizlek
combo.
and Bomb interact because I think it'll be hilarious now that we know Lizlek's personality.
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
him just being like when we got first introduced to Jinsung and Jinsung was like comedically doting over Bomb all the time. I really feel like we could see that from
True.
Mirchi.
yeah.
Mhm. So my guess was the boss slash captain. I don't. Oh, this is a great question to ask you guys because I didn't even notice this myself. Are the boss and the captain different characters to you guys, or do you think it's one being or multiple? Because my chat had pointed out when, like, I guess Hidden Grove, not Hidden Grove, Hidden Grove, what are they called? What are they called again? The with more Doan and Cha and stuff.
Yeah, it's Hidden Grove.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Hidden
Field
Grove,
Road.
Because
Hidden
when
Grove.
when they were talking to one of them, and it looked like obviously like a Jihad Wagner clone. It had a mole,
Yep.
and the other one has a scar. Did you remember in the Suspendium when one of
Yeah.
the hatchlings went to follow? He's like, wait a minute, who is this random foot soldier keeping up with me? I know I'm not running at full power, full speed, but you shouldn't be able to keep up with me. And then he got bodied, and it was the captain. And the captain kind of told Macheni what to do. I assumed it was him that Mazino was looking for.
When
That
we
was my
did
guess.
when we did the character poll, I put the one with the mole and the one with the long hair as two separate characters.
Okay.
And also, when we get to the end of the walls and Hockney and Yule's group comes in to save Bomb when Dewan turns on them and
Yep.
everything,
Yeah.
Yule says that he learned from the boss or captain, whatever you want to call the translation. They're called Daejang in Korean, which translates to like leader, captain.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
so they're both called Daejang, but Yule says that the boss told him that Bomb was an irregular and told him to contact Bomb so that he could tell Bomb that Jinsung was being held at the nest. But he says that the boss who told him that Bomb was an irregular isn't the boss that he usually talks to, which is again another
Yeah.
hint that there's at least two of them.
Yeah, I had to end up coming full circle. Like, no, I think I'm wrong. I think you guys are right. There's more than one. At least minimum two, maybe more. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, what
Could
did
there be?
Zahard do to? I recently talked about like I wanted to make a theory on who I thought the bosses or captains or whatever were, but I was like, people are months ahead. And like
Yep.
we're getting into this Uric stuff. I was like, I can't make a theory and be wrong, like already be wrong by the time the theory comes out. So I was like, I think they might actually be real children of Zahard at this point. Because why would Zahard want to hide them any other way? Also, it makes the stuff between Karaka and Wangnan make sense. But what I was going to say, what did Zahard do to his kids? Because if they are Zahard's kids, Wangnan wants to replace him as king of the tower. Karaka wants straight up revenge. Karaka wants to kill this guy. And then the boss is part of revolution. Because, like,
True.
in the Hell Train, I forget who it was. It was somebody from FUG or Rachel's group. One of them said that Karaka's not actually a FUG loyalist. It's that he's using FUG to get his personal revenge.
Which kind of explains why he had his own sect during workshop battle that was like completely separate from the rest of Fug doing his own thing.
Yeah,
Are we sure that they're children?
we're not
We're
100%
No.
sure.
but
Could be a
like
clone or
that,
some type
I
of
think
experiment,
Clones
but
or
workshop,
Clone or son, yeah.
workshop.
we know because we know
shenanigans.
it's like workshop shenanigans that him
one
and
of my
Jihad and Gastong's all their meddlings with trying to figure out the whole princess stuff and could they be
Yeah.
the version before princesses like trying to
so
recreate
one of
himself maybe like weird workshop stuff and then they finally settle down to just taking his blood and putting it in some putting into
I have a
another
thought on that,
person.
but I'll let Haku go first.
my old theory was that it was a. Don't worry, I won't spoil Naruto stuff because I think Joe's
Thank
been
you,
watching.
thank you.
One
Oh,
of my
shoot.
thoughts was the way that Naruto's shadow clones work is that, he could create 3 shadow clones, each of them practice something for 2 hours, and then when they're dispelled, he gets 6 hours worth of experience, 2 from each of the 3 that he created. And so I was like, if you are Zahard, if you're at the top of the tower, how do you get stronger? I was like, maybe he breaks off regular strength pieces of himself.
That's it.
They climb the tower
Ooh.
and he reabsorbs them being ranker strength. And that's a way for him to still get stronger because I think, God, I can't remember who it was. Somebody on the floor of death says that when all of the people like Wangnan reach the top, then he'll be able to climb again or something like that. So I did think that in the past, but then what changed my mind a little bit was Wang Nan's backstory, because Wang Nan talks about this woman raising him and then suddenly getting ill and dying. And then he's like, she probably wasn't my real mom. I just call her that. She was probably just a nanny. And Karaka says, I can't tell you more because you don't have the ring, but she was not just some nanny, which to me either says that she was not just some nanny, as in, don't say that, that was your real mom, or as in she was an important person in the tower.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it
That's
could make sense
fascinating.
because they said if Zahard tried to have a kid with somebody from the tower, they would die. What if they don't die instantly before having the kid? What if they have the kid and then, like what Wang Nan said about his mom, they suddenly get ill and die afterward?
Or die giving
They,
birth.
like an illness.
Yeah.
Right. What I was gonna say was it's kind of a weird one-off line during that scene right before Gustang imprisons Tromrai in the labyrinth of books.
Okay.
But he says Gustang's bringing up the Eurasian incident, and then Tromrai's like, "Oh, why are you bringing that up? Jihad has already been punished for that," and that's such a weird line. It's like, why Jihad has been punished by who? Like, is unless it's a line thing, it could be. But I always found that line weird because Jihad that implies that someone's keeping Jihad accountable. And I don't know that event. We don't know when it happened exactly, but if we're connecting it to workshop shenanigans, maybe that was maybe a punishment. Maybe like we know that the workshop was there before Jihad entered. They're like a confirmed thing. McSeth was there to welcome them in and help them their climb. Maybe what one sort of return for what Jihad did with the Eurasian incident was like, we need your blood or we need something from you. I'm not sure how it makes sense, but the punishing Jihad thing doesn't make sense to me.
No, it's a line that was in some of the other versions I read too, like a facsimile that maybe not like that verbatim.
Okay.
And I told you, just reminded me about it, and that's a very good point. He did say like whatever it is that he did, he already received his comeuppance for it. So you got to wonder, damn, yeah, I totally forgot about that line. I gotta think about that now. Another video.
For me, it always
another video about this fight. No, okay. Anyways, but yeah. By the way,
for me it always.
By the way, Mazzino's jacked.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
He's jacked.
Everybody
He
said
got the
Caliban.
he went to the Caliban gym, bro. He's jacked now. By the way, go ahead.
beyond
And
belief.
with, oh, sorry.
You're good. You're good. You can go.
Oh, with what Joe said about the workshop existing inside and outside of the tower,
Yeah.
that's another one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't know if Arlen and Mircea could actually be related. The same with Yeon Hana and Yeon Iarde, because it's like, is there any chance that, say, Yeon Hana enters the tower as an irregular, then goes up and ends up finding people that like wear the same sort of cultural clothes. And she's like, she meets one of them. She's like, "What's your name?" And they're like, "Oh, Yaniarde," and they have the same name or something. Because if the workshop
That's
exists
intriguing.
both inside and out of the tower, then there has to have been some exchange at some point inside and out of the tower. So it could be something where, for all we know, that he could be Towerborn and yet still somehow a blood relative of Arlen when it comes to Mircea.
That's not nonsensical to me because they are connected. So I like that. Ron, you were gonna say something earlier, I think, right?
I kind of don't remember. Hold on.
Oh,
You
he
guys
like-
are saying too many fun things.
He's like me for real. If I don't say it immediately, it's gone.
You guys are saying so many fun things. Oh, what I was gonna say is, whenever the decision is made to get to 134 and stop climbing, it feels like it doesn't feel like that's a decision that he made by himself, like Jihad, and then enforced that. It feels like he was kind of told what to do, and it was like,
Oh.
hey, we're kind of done here. Can't go. We can't keep going, and it's just kind of like now we have to deal with the fallout, regardless of. It's like, because we can't go up there and do anything about it, so we'll deal with the fallout between each other, which leads to like the creation of FUG and everything that leads to the events of this series. So it's like maybe there is like something that's over him that does keep him in check as well, that the rest of them are aware of.
I'm very happy you
Yeah.
said that
Yeah.
because I forgot to piggyback off Joe saying that like someone punished him. So you think like, is there something or someone above him in the tower? And you reminded me of what I've been saying for a little while about them locking off the floor. Now I remember a blog post saying there's a very hostile administrator or something, but it's like some people are under the impression that the king of the tower is kind of trying to protect people from whatever it is that's locked behind those final few floors. I don't know how many
That's what-
floors people think are in the tower, but they're like, okay, I gotta make these 13-month series weapons, the 2 keys with the two rings, whatever, and lock this off because the things that are up there, not even we can handle, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
We also still don't know what the red horn things are with Zahard. Because when Bomb first meets Data Zahard, remember Data
Oh,
Zahard,
he
like,
freaks
what do you
out.
think
Yeah,
of
he
me now?
Yeah,
or
he
regular?
does.
And he
Monstrous
turns into, like, the red
transformation.
horns, and Bomb is like terrified by him. And then we also see the red horns are on the back of Wang Nan's neck. When we see Karaka's Observer has the red horns on
I
him.
didn't even pick up on
And
the observer. I'm gonna look at that.
Oh
When-
shoot, me
I did not
neither.
look at that. I didn't pick
Wow.
it up.
Whoa.
I gotta find that.
the
Yeah, me too.
I want to go to
when
the part where. Sorry, hold on.
we see the
Mm,
bosses or the
yeah, okay.
captains or whatever, they might also, just like Wang Nan and Karaka stuff, have the red horns.
That's interesting. When's the last time
Another
he used it?
thing.
When he's on that field survey when he first ran into when Yama ran into that random Lopo Bia he packed up. I think that's the last time he
Yeah,
used it.
when
Yeah.
they run into fights, and then I also think we see it again when they first meet Lobadan at the beginning of the post hiatus.
Okay, bet.
Maybe.
I think there's a scene when stuff is happening with the book because I just read it with Amy. I
I
think
can look up
Karaka's
the
Observer
panel if
shows
you
up
need me to.
once. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I did not actually.
One thing I also always think about when in regards to the irregulars climbing the tower is obviously there was people before them that had came into the tower and climbed, and the original version of the tower. But what was it about their group that changed like why did they come in all together at once and amass people and amass this following and come up the tower and brandish like an insignia and all of these things? Like what was it, like what prompted them to do that? Because it feels very organized in a way.
It seems like they were like just a new wave, a new generation of things that no one's ever saw, and they brought a different like my best guess is the tower's kind of origins is kind of it's anarchy. It's just chaos and disorder. That when they came in, started doing just pretty much just administrators tests, and they were probably doing feats of strength. Like even like my understanding is like Gustang is the one who kind of like quantified and understood Shinsu. Like there's some shit around us, like some type of
Yeah.
energy, life force, whatever it is you want, magic system, whatever you want to call it. And he was the one to kind of like coin its name and stuff. So it could be something along those lines. I think you're on the right track with that because I think about those kind of things often. And then I remember them saying like the tower only opens for like irregulars when it needs like change or reform or something like that. So you have to wonder why like 13 at once. You know?
Yeah,
What
that's-
needed to happen? Totally with
I
you.
think one of the most recent chapters, someone was like, the same cave that bomb was in, could they have started from there too? Like, could they have came from the same place and they all came in at the same time? I was just like, I don't know. You're just throwing stuff at my brain that I can't process. I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, man. But this fight was incredible, though.
It was.
And
Definitely.
I know I don't think just real quick, right? And then because we're close to wrapping up, I just wanted to ask you guys about a lot of things that happened a little bit before that, because I thought did I ever get to talk to you guys about the Libork and Caliban electric storm thing, like powering him up, like the mist with the, like, that was interesting. I've never seen somebody get, like, it's almost like if I was a fire type, but is it flash fire? And you get hit with it, and I think your attack goes up, or you like heal in like Pokemon. It's almost like it was almost like you hit him with the element that he's like in tune with, and you powered him up. I'd never seen that before. In the same way we fought, Mate was a doper. I forgot to bring up the doper thing too. Like, that's interesting. Like, what's your guys' thoughts on that?
True.
I linked the observer panel in the Twitter group
Oh,
chat.
perfect. Thank you, because I was looking.
Let's go.
I was looking. I was looking.
I just have a. Oh wait. Okay, that is cool. I never noticed that.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I
definitely
never
that.
noticed that.
Wow. Good, yo, bro. Good
That's-
catch, brother.
Yeah, seriously. That's great. Yeah, I'm
Look-
gonna add a little smiley face. So when it comes to shoot, oh yeah, the Caliban live work thing. So it didn't even just like power him up, didn't it? Like, it seems like it even like he grew his arm back,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
It was such a power up. He lizard grew his arm back, regenerated his arm. It is cool. It is really cool. I think it's like an extension of what SIU can do with Shinsu, because Shinsu is one of those magic systems that it can kind of be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, he's putting no
and,
real limitations on it, which is good and
Yeah.
bad depending on who you ask.
Exactly, and so introducing this, because at first it was cool because it's another character with Liborek who's like, all right, I'm not that good of a spear bearer, I'm not that good, but because I have this extra element, that's how I'm able to like be as strong as I am. And then seeing that combination work with another, it's kind of like three elements all kind of combining, and I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I mean, there's a whole other topic to be had about if Liborek was disappointing and all that, but that element of it is really cool. I think it's great.
That actually, talking about Shinsu being able to do that made me think, what do you think about Gustang being able to create Michel and Richemont from riding?
Right.
Because I know they said Enryu can create life and stuff. I don't like the idea, because I'm like, can't you just populate your 10 families by creating people then?
This
Well,
man,
there's also like
we
Traumarai.
call him Text. Like, that man was Text. He was a scripture. Like, it's a good point that you brought it up, because I was just like, I had the exact same thought process, because Enryu was the one that was rumored to be able to create life, and maybe it's something that they can all do in some way, shape, or form, which would be interesting. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I want to wait and see. Like, I don't know if I love it yet. I think execution with this type of ability will be anything. So when it's explained, like, how you can do it, what the process is it his own ability? Is it something in conjunction with his power in the workshop because of that weird, like, inventory he had, question mark, It looked like there's maybe pods in there. Like, I'm not sure how it works, but I totally forgot to bring that up too. And the joke is, Richemont is on my screen, right, like on my screen that I'm recording. He's right there beside Duma, so I'm looking right at him, and I forgot it. Like,
nice.
Because I'm like, I'm kind of, it's the fact that they're high rankers that's making me like, can you just create high rankers? But I think somebody in my comments said, like, what if the drawback to it is that if you're making a person with your power, like if you make a high ranker strength person, that is your power that you're taking away from yourself to make that person, and they need to return to you for you to get that power back. That might be a good way to balance it, maybe.
That reminds me of another series that I'm currently reading. Yeah.
And then I have people saying, like, what if Gustang doesn't want to have kids with anyone other than Blossom, so all of his kids are creations from text. But the
Interesting.
series did specifically say that Richemont and Michel were, and it didn't say that for all of the others, so I'm gonna at least hope that all of the others are like actual real Pobedao children.
It would be a cool kind of plot twist. some kind of revelation. I don't know. I
Because
haven't thought about that.
the interesting thing to think about it, right? So here's the first thought that I had when I had it. Because again, I was like, are they all like book people? Like I don't like. Well, I'm like, has this man been so crushed by that loss of that relationship? Because I remember there being a line like Gus Stang kind of was like an asshole that made him more popular with women after his breakup. Because sometimes when you go through it, a little heartache, you might turn into a little demon for a while. I'm like, is this a symptom of his loneliness? Like, I thought that was a really interesting kind of character thing for him, where like he actually doesn't really have a family. Like, yeah, his love is not with him, and his daughter is sealed. And this was the way he created the Pobadows. Like, I think again, that's why I was saying, like, for me, execution is everything here. I'm still
Yes.
kind of waiting to see how it's all going to shape out, but I think it could work. I think it could not work. So we have to just see how it all plays out in the end.
I
And,
think
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it was making me think with the same way like how Gustang and Traumerei both have different ways of sealing their memories away. They both operate just completely differently. It just feels like the more we think about the families with the limited knowledge that we know of them, they all have their different ways of expanding their families that don't feel like the natural way to expand your family.
You
Besides
got
Edon.
Spider Mommy and all kinds of crazy
Yeah, it's like-
beings and
Exactly.
It's like besides
Crazy.
Edon,
You got
Edon's
book
running
people.
around screwing everybody.
yeah,
But it's
Edwin
like
just
with
slinging
Gustang, it's
slinging
like-
meat.
Yeah, that's he's the one that's putting in pain.
Yeah. Well, and it could explain Tobadao. You're one or the other. You're either the most average, boring looking person in the entire tower, or you're Dumas or Proust. It's like one or the other in the
Or
Tobadao
Tiara.
family.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Tiara slander. But it could explain some of these more wacky Tobadao characters that exist. But then again, I mean, in Lopobia you have Widow alongside
Right.
all these other.
You got
normal
Yeah,
Jab
but
people
we
Jab.
know
Lopobia.
Traumerei's into the weird stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we know
See,
that.
that's true. That's true.
So yeah, it's gonna be really interesting because even with you brought up the Thing family where like she's like the matriarch, like the Thing has had no kid. She's supposed to be like a virgin.
Yeah,
like,
she
and you know what? This poses the interesting question I want to ask you guys real quick. Which family head are you guys the most excited for to be the next reveal if you had to choose one? Mine is actually Blood Matter.
Oof.
Blood
Mine's
Matter's
Blood Matter too.
Blood
I was gonna say
Matter.
Blood Matter.
Hendo's
Yeah.
Hendo's the one I want to see next. I'm just curious for you guys. After that, probably
he's
be
the most
higher.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because we just don't know things. Speaking of ones we don't know, though, I know you just mentioned Gustang's inventory, and that's where we learned that and Michelle's ship had that symbol on it, and we learned that that is the Pobedao family symbol because it's on his inventory too. But something that I know Joe already looked at is when Reachmont teleports, his lighthouses have a symbol that looks exactly like the symbol that's on Mule Love's jacket and all over the 20th floor. So I was like, since
What?
that's
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
lighthouse,
I remember.
Looks
Am I a
exactly
fraud?
like it.
So,
Looks
someone brought that up to
exactly.
me. I do remember that.
I
Yeah.
didn't notice until you pointed out.
I was like, since that's on a lighthouse,
I
is
gotta
that
find
the
it.
Tupari family symbol? And that's what's all over the 20th floor and like Mule
Right.
Love's floor.
Yeah.
Was
Plus,
it
I'll-
when Bam kind of broke through his barrier around there?
No, it was when he teleported out of there
Okay.
with Dumas.
Okay,
when
okay,
he
okay,
created
okay.
the teleportation.
Yeah.
I'll link an image to it, but I'll also link this that I posted in the that I tweeted. I'll post it in the group chat.
It's really interesting. That was going to be my answer. Was probably to Perry, and the main reason being, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're the only family that, aside from the blog posts, hasn't directly been mentioned in the main story. Like we've talked about the operas and like all this stuff, maybe once. Even with Hendo Locke, there was the guy Belbergino during season
Yeah.
2 stuff. Even Hendo Locke at least has that. But with Tuperi, it's nothing aside
No.
from the opera. But we only know about the operas from the blog posts.
It's just God. Oh, he's
Yeah.
a God's eye. What else do you know about him? Opera. like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
No
And
more.
we only
info.
ever see one, right? In the very first chapter of season 2, if I'm not mistaken.
One what?
An opera. With,
I don't think we've seen one yet. Have we?
Have we
yeah,
not with Repalista?
Repalista, right?
Oh
Repalista
yes.
has one?
Oh,
When
I'm
Yuri
sorry.
goes to visit Repalista,
You're right.
we get
I
to
totally
see one.
forgot. You totally forgot. I forgot about Futaba in there just gaming.
yeah.
I'm thinking about it because we should be seeing that whenever the anime comes.
Mm.
True. That's true. And Repulista already made a cameo in season 1.
Yeah.
So.
True. Yeah.
Cause but yeah, and then we'll go to the next thing. But yeah, I always said with Hendo, I feel like when Hendo appears, this is when we'll get a big we'll understand the whole immortality contract like conundrum, like,
And why he doesn't have one?
and why does he have to literally fuck for his lifespan? He
Yeah.
has to breed for his lifespan. Like that is so crazy to me. So
We already had the Han Sung tease at the end of the nest. So
yeah, yes,
yep.
Oh, that just made me think of something. How Gaston sealed his memories away in a book. Trom put his in Leviathan. Could could he be Hendo Locke's
Yeah.
memories?
I've discussed that. I
That's
think
a theory people had.
super likely. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, that would be interesting because he knows way more than he should.
Exactly. He's not even just like the vessel. It's that he literally has the memories.
Yeah.
And his data self even was knew way too much. And even
Absolutely.
Edwan was like, how do you know this much? Data Edwan. It's crazy.
That's a really good
Yeah.
setup. Now let's talk about the second best lip reveal, Traumaré. Hey, Hayur is still number one. That's the best lip reveal. That lip reveal
Yeah,
was
yeah.
legendary. But number two, we got Traumaré. You know what's crazy? I'm like, he either has a category mouth or you got like some like sexy lips. I'm like, I knew he had sexy lips. So I wanted two.
One of the two.
There's a big question we had for a long time is why does he wear the mask? Is it like is this a style thing? Is it like I don't want to breathe the air of you trifles, you creatures? Like I'm just wondering if anyone thought that like that was just a kind of stylistic decision, or do you think that him wearing a mask had a real purpose?
The RBG gamer computer fan mask.
They were calling him Femboy Traumaré with the long hair in my chat. Like, oh, Femboy, we were here, so I was like, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
You know, it's interesting because go ahead, Ron. You go first.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything, but just like I don't think I didn't put any thought after like pondering it for the first time we seen him why he was wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I was gonna say.
Because some people, sorry, just real quick, before you go, Joe. Some people were saying they thought that the mask helped him. Like apparently they thought that his voice, especially when it comes to anything that's like I always forget the like Korean name, like Shinhue or whatever, like the divine sea creatures, and like his voice naturally will force them to just bend to his will. And that has a voice modulator. They come up with some crazy theories sometimes, but it has like a voice modulator or something, or I don't know. But I didn't overthink it initially, but I thought there was probably a reason, maybe a scar or something. But go ahead.
That's what I wondered if at first until this reveal. But an interesting point is that we kind of see with all the Pobadao versus Lopobia fights that we've been having, we've gotten a good glimpse of what the common soldiers look like. With the Pobadao, like library, they're just wearing the dress shirt and the scientist coat. That's kind of their getup. But with Lopobia, they're all wearing that same mask. That's kind of like, and that's why the captain was able to blend in. And I don't know. It's interesting that like Traumaré has the mask and his soldiers also have the mask. And even like, well, I guess that's different. Like the common soldiers all wear this too. Maybe that's just a coincidence. My assumption was always that Traumaré, he's the recluse. The first time we ever see him, he literally changes the not the weather, but the sunlight in the area. He's like, oh, it's way too bright, and he dims the sky. You know, he's just a recluse who doesn't like the outside air. He doesn't like anything to do with what he's uncomfortable with. But with this reveal now, connected to Enkidu, there might be something more, but I don't know what. Not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of figured the same thing, that I thought it was just like he didn't want to breathe the like air of these non-irregulars, since he only considers irregulars to be people.
Mm-hmm.
True.
But now that we know we didn't have it in the past, it makes me wonder about it. Also, I took a screenshot of Richemont's lighthouse and posted it in chat.
Thank you. Oh my good. Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. Look at that. Shout out to him. Interesting too that family was named after a lot of writers. I don't know if you guys picked that up. That family is named.
Yeah.
The Pobadao family is named after a lot of writers. We did get a couple more football names
French
too.
Writers.
Yeah.
I think they're all French writers except
The Russian.
Or-
There was
one, right?
Yeah,
Richemont. I think
who was the
they had
Russian one?
Vran. He's a
Victor
defender.
Hugo.
Yeah.
Literally
Yeah.
Hugo
Yeah.
on the Victor.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that, Hugo was the commander of the Victor, and Victor Hugo
Yeah.
wrote Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that was a distraction for Yama and
Mm.
Yasracha infiltrating that library, and the library that they infiltrate on Rot looks like Notre Dame.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And he again he's been in his bag with a lot of this stuff. But just to kind of like end things off, first of all, I wanted to know if anybody thought there was something anything you wanted to mention that you think we forgot, or just give credit to or critique. I'm gonna start off just to give you an idea. This is a little bit before like the new hiatus. I thought SIU started to really start to re-implement very small things that I think carry a lot of weight. I really loved when Hodgin Sung escaped and pulled up on it was Holland, and I don't want to say P Diddy now that I know he's a monster, but like I call him Per Diddy, the owl, horny
Yeah,
with his horny bird.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I love this. There's so many small things here that I think carry a lot of weight. First, they're fighting and they're showing high ranker experience. Hold on, he's only like defending, and when he got pushed back to a certain point, he went on the offensive and then just stopped. Like, okay, he's stalling. Then Bam comes, Master. Oh my God, yay! Right, and then he's like, hey, be careful. They're obviously luring us into a trap. Like he's showing his experience, and then as soon as they were, and their plan was to bring them close to the trauma ray, so they'd be in trauma ray's like radar range, and then the best Adama shot the Cobalt, started from the bottom, level 1 frog, ate 1,000 snakes to become a guardian deity, my goat, and said, Cobalt, the irregular, bring him here. I'm like, I love that. And them also referring to him as the massacre of the Ha family. Like, do more of those things. It carries a lot of weight. When you see Hodgin Sung, mention the fact that he's known for what he's known for. Like, I started to really think he started to do a lot of small stuff like that again that I think carries a lot of weight. So I want to give him credit for that.
I think that
Since they all
entire
call me a
fight
hater,
was
you know?
really good, and I would compare that to the back and forth of the Bomb and Ren fight, where there's a lot of like thought going into the overall choreography of what they're using and what they're doing.
Yep.
And it also kind of reminds me of the stuff that was going on at the same time, where Traumaray was not really fighting because he was just chilling still, but he was fighting with Yama and Yasracha, and we get all these scenes of Yama and Yasracha fighting his creatures, and I love that one zoomed out panel where Yama's like, I've been fighting this guy. Why does it feel like I'm further away from him?
Uh-huh.
Also, the Genjutsu was crazy. He put that man Yasuracha in an illusion. I said, "Oh my goodness!" Because the reason I'm so happy is I was like, "Cobalt, no!" I was like, "No, oh, it's not real. It's not real. False alarm. Everyone relax." Yeah, Cobalt's a big deal in my chat because I'll be hyping him up.
No, Cobalt is sick.
Sorry, real quick. Seeing small Cobalt and like small the Kraken, Rachel Rapids, that was cool too. Go ahead.
I gotta give a shout out to two of the best characters that have appeared recently. Popodao Noobles, legend. He's still alive in my heart. And then the fact that I'm not even kidding about this one. The fact that in I have the chapter here, chapter 597, season 3, episode 180. Chopin from season 1 appears, and Bomb is like, "Oh yeah, that dude," and Kuhn's like, "Oh yeah, remember that guy from over a decade ago, from 500 chapters ago? He was kind of like one of these historians or whatever who followed us around for a bit." That blew my mind. I was like, SIU including Chopin into current day Tower of God. It was strange. It would be like as if, I don't know, we saw Serena.
I was about to say Serena. I was about to say Serena.
Yeah, it's just like it felt like I wasn't even reading. It felt like a crossover, like with a different comic, just because of how far we've come since then. It was crazy to me.
Yeah, that was super dope.
Mentioning the Navigator stuff with Chopin makes me remember what I told Naya I wanted to ask, which is, this I guess goes more for the official translation, but just in general, if there was one translation that you could tell them to stick to or to change or whatever, what would it be? What would it be? Because for me, it's not any
Ooh.
names or anything, different names or whatever. For me, as somebody who's gone through a lot and watched a lot of reaction series, it's got to be administrator and guardian. Please go back to calling them guardians,
Oh.
because when you have floor administrators, test administrators, administrator as in the like
Mm-hmm.
administrator of a group, it confuses so many people.
It is.
So I just really think that you should have stuck with guardian, you know?
Yeah, I'm constantly kind of having to course correct in my chat, because especially with the like teleportation scene, right? People were really confused with the navigator guide thing, the crossroads and stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
you see, with me, for some of this stuff, just to circumvent confusion, if I'm talking about like Huariun, I don't call her a guide. I just say Red Witch. If I'm talking about Evan, I just say Silver Dwarf. I do things like that because a lot of these, because sometimes I wonder to myself with the translations, it's like, sometimes you can tell when the person translating it is also a fan or at least knowledgeable about the series, as opposed to just being like, can you speak Korean and are you fluent in Korean and English? Okay, translate this. So it is translated, but they don't really know the technical jargon and diction of the very specific things native to this series. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, by the way. I've noticed with Kubera, the Babel Kim subs, those are Kubera fans. I'm pretty sure the people doing it online, not the beginning, like later on in season 3, you just got somebody who understood both languages to do it. So there's so many mistakes in there. And
I can say that I don't know how true this is. I didn't like go fact check them or anything. But when I was talking about translation, I do remember somebody in my comments saying that a portion of the Hell Train at least was translated by Korean like college students for their English class. And I think that would kind of
heard
make a
that
little
too.
bit of
I never knew
sense.
that.
because
But
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, for the guide navigator stuff, I really think again they should just retroactively go back to guide for guides. Guide uses like the Korean word for whatever a guide is or whatever, but the new term, the navigator, uses like nabigato in Korean, so it's like a English loan word.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
You're-
So the
Yeah.
difference is
You're-
like the native Korean word is used for guide, but like nabigato is used for the navigators.
Gotcha.
Yes, when I was doing my reaction for your the screen time thing, we were talking about a little bit like the essence of bravery, really the essence of nothingness and stuff like that. And we brought up because I remember Joe when we did the translation, and I think I got this right because I think you remembered Mexes. I think they changed it to Maxethian.
Yeah, that's
And
right. Yep.
like, and I was thinking of like Coon
Uh-huh.
being like Ko, and I'm like Coon, and after then I was Kun with the H, and then like Zahar
Sure.
Jihad, N Dorsey, and Dorsey, and then now with Haku showing me the drawing that SIU did for one of the blog posts, it's Andorthi, and I'm like, oh wow, I did not
Right.
know that until literally like a day ago. So
I know.
just
Yeah.
you saying that Korean people did that for like a project, I mean that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense of so many things that I read that during that portion. So
Yeah. My answer, probably now that Haku said that, would definitely be the administrative guardian thing. It would have been, and this is one of the only times I can think of where they went back and changed it. It would have been calling the beastskin furries, because they called them furries for a little while
they did
online.
in the last
They did,
station,
they
right?
did.
That,
Or
yes,
yeah. 'Cause I think it started there a
And in
little bit
season
with
3.
Hatsu, and then in season 3 they were you're right. I remember
Yeah.
that. Cause I
They
also
were- they were
remember they
going
called
into
Baylord
backstory.
Yama Baylord Yama before they changed it to Baylord. Go ahead.
yeah, true, but yeah, they line actually fixed it. Thank God,
They
because
did.
it was very hard to take that seriously. So yeah, thank God it's not fur anymore.
I think Shinwanryu is probably also a good example of something that
It's like
you know
not
is
literally
maybe
black.
not a
it's,
good
it's not literally
translation.
black Shinsu
'Cause-
fear, right?
Right.
Yeah, to me, Shinsu Black Hole Sphere just doesn't even make sense as a translation. Like I think like in Naruto, it's like you got the Rasengan. You don't call it whatever. You just call it the Rasengan. You don't need to translate it.
You don't
Same
want to
thing
call the
with
Sharingan
Chidori,
the
you
mirror
just call
wheel
it
eye, bro?
Chidori.
The mirror
Yeah.
wheel eye? You're not trying to hear that?
It's cool to just hit us with some terminology every now and then. But even if we were to say that they were translating it literally, it doesn't even translate literally to
True.
Shinsu Black Hole Sphere, so I don't get it. It translates to like Divine Circle style. So I don't get where they got Shinsu Black Hole Sphere from to begin with.
And it also makes people think it's a technique. Like, oh, he's
Yeah.
using the black hole
True,
sphere,
it's
when
deceptive.
he's just changing his Shinsu, the way he uses his Shinsu.
And
I
some people.
jokingly call it the Soul Punisher.
Nice.
I like that. Ryan, anything you wanted to say? Like anything you wanted to just mention, give credit to, critique, or bring up? Just
Um, what I will give credit to CU for doing is the last, I don't even know how many chapter it's been, but the clash between Gustang and Traumeré
Mhm.
and the clash between Mircea and Udek, it was clear that these were individuals that were powerful. And it was like a clear delineation of this is what a fight between individuals of this caliber should be like.
Mhm.
And how it didn't really mirror anything else besides
and they were
whenever,
holding back, which is crazy to
yeah,
think.
and they're holding back. And it's like, it's very clear. Like, these, if they were to go crazy, it feels like the panels should break. Like, if he were to go any crazier, and it like separated it. I'm like, there's few fights that I even can compare to those. And I feel like he did a great job at actually showcasing what an irregular versus an irregular would look like versus what one of the strongest people in the tower would look like versus an irregular. I feel like he executed it perfectly.
I do. I was giving him so much praise for that stretch from like the clash up until like the Enkidu stuff. From like this was a really good this was a really good like stretch from you. And you're right. Like I remember I walked away from that Mazzino and loose leg fight being like I really don't have a complaint. This was executed flawlessly as far as I'm concerned. Like I left away from that feeling really good and really excited. And as much as I still like the Traumare and Gustan clash, I didn't love Aguero interrupting it, but you know,
Yeah.
you gotta take a little bit of it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I obviously have to sit this part out, but I just wanted to know if you got what your hopes are and predictions could be possibly just for some of the future stuff happening for the great match, the great game, the chess match, everything like that. Like what are you guys thinking? Just throw me at least one idea, and then we'll wrap up.
One idea that I was thinking of, and I was trying to think of what would be the craziest thing that could happen that would circumvent any thought possible. Like, we have the the inevitable showdown between Gaston and Traumeré and whatever Rachel's doing with the sprout and everyone showing up here. And the one thing that I can think of that I feel like would flip everything on its head,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Udek showing up, is if Jihad himself showed up.
Ooh.
And it would completely flip everything on its head because nobody would have a reason as to why he's here, nor would anybody be able to probably do anything about it.
Some of my
And that
chat
would
think that he doesn't want anyone to get their memories back because they'll turn against him.
Yeah,
That was a prevailing theory in my
ooh.
chat when I was talking about it. So just
Yeah, it was that, and something's gonna happen with Bomb because I just realized this last chapter. Bomb has Gaston and Traumeré's memories.
yeah. Oh, that's a wait. What? Yeah. Gus. Yeah, with Leviathan
He
and
has both.
True.
and when
He
he
has
absorbed the
both of
text,
their
that pissed
memories.
off so many people. By the way, when he absorbed like the text from the book, they were so
It pissed
mad.
me off when he didn't tell us what he knew. That's the only reason why I got mad. It's like, come on.
It's funny. I was praising.
Bam
I
does
was
sit on
praising that
information.
moment. I was praising it for being like, oh, both sides got what they wanted. Like we got the info. Gustin got the book. Never mind, he didn't
We didn't get anything.
get it. And
But I'm, yeah, but it makes me feel like something's gonna happen because what are the odds that this boy gets both of their memories?
Yeah.
And he has them both, and he's like holding on to them.
Mm.
So it's like I don't know where to go with that thought, but I feel like there's something there.
Oh man.
To me,
Interesting.
I had a minor issue with the book stuff, and it's not really about the book stuff alone. It's a wider issue with CU's writing, maybe. I would guess say season 3, in that. So, we usually go into a series knowing what the main character knows. say Jujutsu Kaisen, you start out with Itadori knowing nothing. Naruto, even though he's not from an isekai, Naruto's an idiot, just basically doesn't know anything about even chakra at the beginning. So we learn
With
as
him.
the character learns about the world that they're in, and we start off
Tower
doing
guy
that with
too.
Mom.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
about the tower as Bomb learns about it. But then in season 3, we get a lore drop from Cha to Bomb that we don't get to hear. Then Bomb gets the Leviathan memories and we don't get to see them. Now he gets the book stuff and we don't get to see it. So to me, it's creating this disconnect where the main character knows more than we know as an audience.
It's like a different version of dramatic irony, which is kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, just real
But,
quick too. I forgot to say the Enkidu thing.
sorry.
Your thoughts on Enkidu? Sorry. Were you done with that thought?
Yeah, I was done with that. I was just wondering if Rom was done, if you wanted me
Yeah, I
to
was.
go.
Go ahead.
I was
yeah,
done.
go
I
ahead.
was
Go
done.
ahead.
The
I'll bring the Enkidu after. I just want you guys' opinion on what's going on with
Okay.
Enkidu. But go ahead, Ron.
I was
think-
done with my thought.
Sorry.
Okay.
It was a good piggyback from Haku.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go next if you want to.
I just wanted to know, like, just real quick, like, your thoughts on, like, Mr. Flubber, Jello Man, Floating Head, Enkidu in there. Like, what's going on? Like, what is that? Like, what's going on?
Oh God, it had to be one of yours probably. I was gonna say, whose comments did I say this in? Where I was like, it might have been Ron's, where I was like, if I was a creature and
It was
somebody
mine.
tried to make me into a human, I would be pissed too, especially if I was an ugly ass floating head. I would be beyond pissed. You've given me sentience and I'm an ugly floating head. I would be pissed.
Yeah. You said that in mine. I got a good laugh out of it. I
This is
did.
a good observation. I will say the first time I saw it, I was almost a little underwhelmed. I was like, this creature that caused everything is just a floating head. But then as it started to scream and scream, and we got these like nasty close up panels of it and like the lore behind the fact that it's an experiment to become a human.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it became very intimidating to me and very interesting. I like the design and the fact that it needs like a host potentially is very interesting. Will Rachel be that host? I don't know. Rachel is the kind of character, like earlier she was kind of the host already for Pobodao's or Gustang's Stingray, so I
Yeah.
guess this would be like another example of that.
Indeed.
Piggybacking off of that, depending on how old they were when he received Enkidu, did he have kids at that point? Could Enkidu have been his first experiment on eventually figuring out how to, like, hodgepodge all of his offspring and make them look all different and whatnot?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. It's for it to be that angry and for the response that Gaston had about, man, this is Enkidu's fault for whatever happened to the redacted name that was crossed
Well,
out.
it's even like haunting. We saw when Traumarai was leaving the library. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I think it was, especially now knowing what Enkidu looks like. It probably was some
Yeah, I
kind of
think it looked
Enkidu
similar.
residue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's whatever it is. It's like a big deal, not just with Traumarai, but with the family heads, their
Mhm.
climb, Icarus, potentially, all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So this is my absolute final question because I literally can't I
Oh,
cannot
I
believe.
was gonna do.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna do what we wanted, or
No,
yeah,
go ahead.
what we
Do,
wanted to see next.
do it. Do
So-
that first, but I'll just keep this. I'll keep it in the pocket.
Okay.
I'll
To
won't
me-
forget. I'll write it down.
To me, after we saw Luzlek, what hit me was I just want to see more lore characters or characters we haven't been introduced to in the main story. I want to see more Walhaixong, Baekryun. I want to see the other Slayers like Seto and Amort. I want the 10 family heads. I want the princesses. I want some more lore characters to come in. And a thought I had about the game we're currently playing with the chess pieces is so they're being split around this battlefield and everything. But when we first saw Yuri fight Karaka, their attacks were massive compared to the name hunt station.
Yeah.
So something I was thinking about is like, there are high rankers in here. To me, how good of a high ranker are you if you can't just like move around this space pretty easily?
I got you.
Mm.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Cause like I've always given one thing SLU's always done so well, like you said, like that battle had its destructive scale was amazing. Cause when you zoomed out, and you saw them kind of trying to cross the bridge to get across, like the regulars, and you're like, wait, are those little teeny dots Yuri and Karaka down there? Like, oh my god, what are they doing? Demons, like just going crazy down there. World of Darkness, there's orbs, her just bouncing off of it and everything. A lot of my community is okay. So here's my take, right? I do think SIU has kind of trivialized like rankers, higher rankers a little bit. So what I tend to do is I try to, when I'm introduced to a new character, I kind of try to go by your credentials, like what family are you from? Are you direct descendant? Do they does the family hold you in high regard? And I kind of judge it off of that more so than just knowing you're a high ranker. But the stipulation that I always add is I think blue holes were created to somewhat correct that. SIU has an unknown tier of strength, of like a pool he can always pull from to be like, this is somebody forgotten by history, and he can make them as strong or as weak or as tricky as a combatant as he can be. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's kind of true. I think it's another reason that we haven't, aside from Evankel that one time, gotten like exact ranks for people. Because if we did get exact ranks for everybody, it would make like just scaling and introducing new characters an absolute nightmare to go through for CU.
Because I think blue holes were a good idea. I do.
Yeah, I think they were a really good idea, especially for the characters that are blue holes. They make sense where it's like Garnak, Kelhelm. I think, didn't they say Dumas was a blue hole? I can't really remember.
I don't think so.
So.
I don't recall though. I'll look. I'll
But
try
I'm
to
not
look.
sure.
I'll try to find.
But something else that my like comments were bringing up with that, and I guess I'll relate it a little bit to Omniscient Reader. I know I'm not really that far into it. Everybody in my Discord was hyping up Ron's discussion on it recently.
Oh yeah.
But
Let me hop in.
I would
let me hop in
relate
one
it
of
a
those.
little bit to like what is it, like plausibility in that, where we know that this game is being overseen by the Guardian, by the floor administrator. Is there any way that the rules of the game are meant to exist in a way that it kind of balances things out between the regulars and high rankers? Like maybe when you enter into a game, there is some level of balancing at play there.
That's something I never would have even thought of.
I've always thought the rules of the game that are the ways for a regular to win without having to necessarily be stronger than a ranker. So I'll give you an example. When Bam was fighting that Jihad, I know that's not really like a test, but Bam could have just beaten him or broken the 3 orbs to win. I've always thought those extra things were like the win condition, where if you can kind of avoid the ranker or find a way around it with your wit, that's how you win. So that's usually how I looked at it, but that's an interesting way. That's an intriguing way. I like that perspective, though. I'm not sure, but I like that perspective. But I look at it a little bit differently. I've always thought like, okay, I wish I had another game in mind that had something like that. For some reason, I can't think of one, but there's been so many. But like, there's usually a way to circumvent. Like, okay, you can't really just beat Lororo or Quattro Blitz, but can you get to the end before he finds you? What if you were really good at hiding your presence, and you can get to the end very slowly with sneaky, stealthy moves? You know what I'm saying? With the what's it called, hide and seek, the pulley game, whatever, like that. When Aguero had the lighthouse, like that one, like like I think I kind of think of it that way. So that gives them a win condition. Because like sometimes like one of my cousins, right? I train him in football, soccer, and usually I'm like, all you need to do is get 1 goal. Like I have to get 10, I win. You get 1, you win. You know, like I make it. I give him that like I challenge him to like beat me because I'm not gonna really hold back, but also I give him an easier win condition.
Right.
So yeah. I think did everybody do their prediction stuff?
I can't really. Yeah, I mean, I think so.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know what to expect from you right now.
Okay. Promise you. Last question. I can't believe I forgot about this. What's our opinion on Belleria or whatever his name is? Like, what's up with him? What are you thinking about him? Like weak but smart, strong and smart. Like, what's up with him? Like, what are your thoughts and opinions on him?
I hate him.
I like him in a conceptual sense.
It's the way he said it. I hate him. Like, just, I felt it. Oh man, I'm so indifferent. I'm so unmoved by him. I'm so indifferent. Like I'm. But yeah, go ahead though.
I like him in the sense that it's, to me, kind of like a higher level version of what Kuhn is, where he's just a ranker. He's not a high ranker. He's not up there with like Proust and Dumas, but he is kind of Gaston's like planning, scheming guy. So like the way that Kuhn is able to mess around with stuff with high rankers in the nest and everything, just from planning and scheming, it kind of feels like Bellerir is kind of that guy, but at a higher position.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to know
yeah.
that.
I mean, I feel about Belleria the same way like most of the community feels about Rachel. It's like, yeah, okay, he has this interesting thing going on. Yeah, sure, but like, I don't know.
Yeah,
He's the worst.
I'm right there with you. It feels like whenever Gaston shows up, he was like, "Wait, you're sparing people? What's going on?" And he's like, "No, no, 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 no." It's like, oh, and it's like
Yeah,
I just wish Gaston would be like, "Okay, kind of done with you. You served your purpose."
yeah. The chess game is pretty cool conceptually, but I'm not gonna give him the credit for that. He didn't invent chess.
Yeah, like the one thing I gave him credit for the most part was like honestly the way you kind of forced Traumare's hand to play it was good. You captured his people. You had the administrator's position among some other things. Plus, Traumare is very confident in his chess ability, even if he's going up against a Gustang. So I thought that was good. But other than that, I'm like, this guy, whatever, bro. So for the most part, so.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I really appreciate you guys coming through, joining. Um,
Appreciate
again,
you for having me.
of course,
It was fun.
I'm gonna. I say this every year, but I swear from this point, I'm gonna do better. Like this is one community that I think would benefit a lot more if we just did a lot more stuff together, whether it's like the trivias or just little discussions here.
I
Because
agree.
Agreed.
I really like
Yeah.
when we were doing those prompts like a few years ago, where like you'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, like that, like let's bring those back. You know, be a bit more connected and stuff and things of that nature. So we'll stay in touch and do this a bit more often. You guys just want to say anything to the people or like plug anything? Obviously, I'll have everyone's channels in the description. Just final words.
I want to say, everybody watching this, I know you're watching it on his channel, but give some extra props to Naya because he has been organizing this for months, trying to get everybody
True.
together to
The
record.
spearhead of it.
So, yeah.
True.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, it was my fault it didn't happen earlier because I wasn't available the day that I picked. I was like, oh shit, I gotta go
I
do
mean,
something.
organizing things
like last
and
year.
finding times that work is like crazy. Though.
Yeah. Because with me, it's like, okay, I will find a way to work around anyone's schedule. I just want a time in a day that works for most people. And the thing about with me is like, let's say we stream for 4 hours or whatever. I'm like, you don't got to stay the whole time. If you come for an hour, you can come for an hour. You come for the last 30 minutes. You just any time you're willing to give is more than enough, you know. So
Yeah.
like, JD wasn't here the whole time, but I still appreciate the Taco Fix coming through. You know,
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Yeah.
and he's been doing this thing.
Yeah. I want to say that I'm excited, to be doing more stuff like this, and shout out to the anime. If nothing else, I'm excited for it. But if nothing else, for more people to join our communities.
Yeah.
Once
100%.
once that wraps up.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I always tell people, I'm like, without the anime, we wouldn't have Ron here. We wouldn't have Kick the Can. We wouldn't have gotten the AOA show.
AOA, yeah.
We wouldn't have gotten, like, I guess Sun Wu. I already watched his anime stuff before he did Tower of God.
Oh,
But, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But like we wouldn't have got him into Tower of God. There are so many channels that we wouldn't have gotten, and so many people that are like in my community, and I'm sure in everybody else's, that we wouldn't have gotten without the anime. So I think season 2, especially if it's good, here's hoping that
Yeah.
I will
can
be
bring a lot more
reacting in
people in.
Korean. I watched it
I
in
think I
Korean.
had-
Ooh.
I watched it in Korean.
Nice. That's
I'm I'm more optimistic about season 2 than season 1 just because of the content involved in it. I think it's a easier set of content to adapt. But
I
at
think
the same time, I'm worried.
I think it's
mm,
I just think just logistically with where we are in the partnership and everything, it feels like the original partnership was just promotion. And it was just like what's a
yeah,
good stopping point? Where
right.
what makes sense to stop? It's like just do season 1. It's like okay, and we're never going to come back to this again
Mhm.
until so many people went to go read and it's like we actually might have something. And I don't know
True.
about you guys, But Tower of God feels like it has the potential to be like in the same vein that we speak about all the top Japanese shonen series. Like I felt like it controlled, like for 2020, it was the best new show that wasn't like a recurring season. It felt like everyone was talking about it.
Yeah,
It felt like everyone was
people that I would
watching it
never
at the same
expected.
time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
like I feel like the second season, if they're actually going into the season, like they haven't said anything. They haven't given us any information, but the one line they said is, "I hope you enjoy the new art and animation." So it makes it seem like they listened to the people that complained, and it was like, "This doesn't feel like Tower of God," and like, "We'll make it feel like Tower of God now."
I have one
Because
problem.
it feels
they think
like they have
Rachel and
something.
Bam are in love. I don't know where that came from. It seems to be a
Kind of
prevailing theory
understandable,
amongst the
honest.
anime watchers, and I'm like, no, stop. That's not what's happening here.
I kind of get why they think that.
Because
though.
I
hate
the
to
get it
do
animators
that.
made him like blush and breathe. I get it, but I was like, no. That's not what's going
Yeah.
on, bro. That's not what's going on. But that was like my only thing. I'm like, why did everyone think that? But yeah, they did.
I think
I do. Go ahead, Haku.
one worry that I do have, I don't know how like deep all of you are into like anime, seasonal anime and everything, but I'm
I fell off a
fairly
cliff,
deep
brother.
into watching a lot of anime.
Yeah.
And usually one of the first things that you get knowledge of is the studio. The studio is one of the first things you know about in anime. So it is weird to me that we don't have information on that.
I think
to
it's the
this
same
point?
studio. That's why I think everything is the same.
Who
They
did it? Was
just
it Wit?
act-
Who did it before? I forgot.
No, it was Telecom.
It was
Telecom.
Telecom
Yeah.
and Partner or something like that.
It was weird.
I think
Yeah.
it's the same team, but now they actually have a direction. That's
Because
what
like
it
you
feels
said,
like.
it's no longer just like an ad. Like
Yeah.
that's what like. I mean, I enjoyed the first couple episodes of the God of High School anime, but that's what it ended up feeling like. Just
Yeah, it was just felt like an
go
ad.
read the rest. Go read the rest on Webtoon. Same for Noblesse, whatever else. But I think you're right that like they were probably surprised themselves that Tower of God blew up like it did. One thing I want to say is from what we've seen so far, I appreciate, because one of the riskiest things, in my opinion, with season 2 is that it completely, for the first arc of season 2, it's an entirely different cast. Season 1, you got Kun, Rack, and Dorsey, all these characters that you spent time with, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into an entirely different cast.
Yep.
And that's really risky to do because, especially since a lot of them are, I don't want to say initially unlikable, and
Yeah, they are.
they're unlikable. They're just ordinary people.
They are.
He said, "I'll say it."
It's a good thing.
He said, "I'll
It's a
say
good
it."
thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
They are.
And even their designs are kind of a little more basic, But the thing is, it's genius because now with the marketing, they're promoting, like if you look at the posters and such, it's all Team Sweet and Sour. It's
Yep.
Wong Nut and Viol on the front, Team Sweet and Sour in the back. They know what they're doing. I really appreciate that they're not trying to show Kun or Rack. It's what season 2 is all about at the beginning. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, they want you to buy in.
Yeah.
I think that we'll be able to tell very soon how, like very early on, how much it gets Tower of God,
Yeah,
because
that's the one worry.
there are a lot of really, really important things that I think
Yep.
they need to hit in that first arc. Things like just the group hanging out together and Goseng being like, hey, why don't we stop climbing here? And seeing
so
that,
good.
no, everybody has important reasons why they need to keep climbing, because it comes back later on when she tells Horyang, I didn't know what everyone else was going through when I said we shouldn't climb anymore.
Yeah, it's a great point.
100%.
So good.
I'll just end with this. Another thing that I've been enjoying from a Tower of God perspective is I don't play the games because I'm not a mobile game player. Like the only game I've ever really had on my phone was like when I had BlackBerry. I doodle jump, and I'll play solitaire.
Nice.
The Tower of God, Great Journey, and I think it's called Mobile or M, whatever. They have a lot of little animated scenes in there, and that's like giving me like animated content that I can edit with. So like just shout out to them for that. Like with Ran using his like his lightning attack and
Oh,
Bam
yeah.
cutting
Yeah.
people and Hokin and Bam fighting each other too, going
Yeah.
in the dollar show. Like I
Yeah.
enjoyed those, so I hope the anime can kind of like step it up a little bit, because there's like this one trailer where like Kun flips the coin and you see like the fish, and then like I'm like, oh, that's beautiful.
That's
And then
so
ends with
good.
like I think it
Yeah,
ends with
it was.
Mizuno,
Trailer.
with the Mizuno and Bam
Yeah.
thing. By the way, I want to mention this. the rationalization I was saying is that Mazzino's Shinsu control is so good he can lower his defense, and I was saying maybe that's how Bam was able to scratch him when they clashed way back when he was an E rank regular.
Maybe.
Huge reach, probably, but that's the level of
It's
Shinsu
cope.
control. I thought he was,
Yeah.
because I have argued that was one of the scenes that really didn't age well when you think about how much
SIU
stronger.
himself
Red-
said that. I think. Oh no, wait. Is that a misconception? Did he ever say that?
I don't know. I feel
It's
like I
either
heard
something
someone
he
say that.
said or people misquote him. I can't remember.
Yeah, if it's a misconception, I have fallen for it before.
yeah.
yeah. But all right. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you everybody who got this far. Comment, like, follow everybody. I'm about to subscribe to Ron because I don't know why I'm not subscribed to you. I'm an idiot. But
Man.
y'all be safe. We out.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.